news. Please bring us up to date. Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Hello there, good morning. The government ramps up final preparations a day before the first ever EU summit.
But whispers of a youth mobility movement and increased access to British fishing waters has critics raising their eyebrows.
Now, rumours the EU's trying to squeeze more out of last-minute negotiations. So, could this be the beginning of the end for Brexit or an EU deal finally worth our time?
Kingdom. From the public, you get 0 points.
Well, that's a surprise. Was it the most political Eurovision ever? We're awarded 0 points as Austria pips Israel in the 11th hour to take home their third win.
Yes, it was a Saturday night to forget for Remember Monday with their song What the Hell Just Happened, ending up 19th on the leaderboard. I'll have all the latest from Basel later in the show.
Personally, I'd rather watch the new Pope being inaugurated. That happens this morning. We'll be bringing you live scenes from the Vatican, 9 a.m.
As a second man is arrested over an arson attack on the Prime Minister's home, many are demanding our politicians are better protected.
Is it time to build supermax prisons? More violence than ever before on prison officers, as many people calling for Britain to build its own equivalent of Alcatraz.
Good morning. A triumph for amazing spirits and togetherness. Those the words of Crystal Palace boss Oliver Glasner as his side ended a 164-year wait for a major trophy by winning the FA Cup against Manchester City at Wembley. We'll have reaction throughout the morning.
Hello. Well, we have got quite a lot of low cloud out there this morning, but that should lift and break to reveal a good deal of sunshine. I'll have all the details coming up shortly.
Quite unusually on this Sunday morning. Good morning to you. I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Dawn Neeson, and this is GB News Breakfast.
We've got our boots off for ready to play. We're off the subs bench this morning, Dawn and myself, to give Stephen and Anne, isn't Anne?
Exactly, yeah, and a very nice surprise and pleasure it is, Eamon, to be back with you.
Always a pleasure, always a pleasure.
Indeed, yeah.
What a day yesterday was, Cup final day.
Oh my gosh, it was, you know, the magic of the FA Cup when I was a kid was the best thing ever.
Totally agree.
Even if West Ham weren't involved, which obviously we weren't that often, you would get up and the whole day would be exciting. You'd wake up, you'd get the papers, you put the telly, the radio on, the build-up, everything.
But you had the satellite link from the coaches to the hotel, or the hotel to the coaches. What was it? It's one way around. Anyway, Aidan's here with us today to talk about all of that.
Do you remember the suits? All the suits the players used to wear.
96 in the Liverpool.
Oh, yeah, those suits are up on display in the National Football Museum in Manchester. Someone's donated one. I think
Do they
David
still
James.
do that at all, Aidan?
Well, they do a bit, yeah. I mean, Glasner yesterday, funnily enough, he observed all the, meeting Prince William beforehand with his suit, but he also went and put on his lucky jumper, which he's worn throughout the match.
Yeah,
and it came up chance for him.
Right, there's one of my first observations. Right, Cup final day, it's a big day. The managers dress in a suit. They're all very respectful. Guardiola was in his pyjamas yesterday. And I mean, what is that? I just think it shows a lack of respect. I just think it is a special day. It's like going to a wedding or something. What do you think?
No, I think there is a lot. I wanted to see them in suits. I wanted to see them looking smart, showing a bit of respect for the FA Cup. But the FA Cup, I don't
think it's a massive day for those managers. I really don't. I think that the cup competitions in other countries around Europe isn't quite.
OK, right. I'm going to say to you, you're probably right.
Yep.
Not a big day for those managers, but it's a big day for us supporters.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says, and they all go on about, the magic of the cup. There is the magic of the cup. And the thing is, as supporters, we want to see a win. We want to see a trophy. We don't care if it's the Champions League or the FA Cup. The FA Cup, you see, as soon as we start treating the FA Cup the way the Americans treat the Super Bowl, I don't see why we can't do that. Why isn't there a big half-time act? Why isn't Taylor Swift or something on there at half-time? But I think you could do all that.
It's going that way. You can see yesterday the spectacle was a big thing.
It's going down the tubes.
No, I think
as
a spectacle, I still think it looks good. It looks different. It's not everyone's cup of tea.
Look, I was watching television coverage yesterday, and the first thing I was surprised of was that it was on both channels the way it used to be.
Yes.
So that was quite interesting. Good. But secondly, the BBC had it billed 3 o'clock or whatever. Crystal Palace versus Manchester City. No, it's not. The FA Cup final.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there's just no importance given to it. And then Football Focus was from an empty Wembley Stadium. I really just thought you have to be our age to really realise what you're missing.
The coverage used to get going from about 9 a.m, didn't it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
absolutely.
The
used to start.
Yeah.
But the one thing I thought was brilliant about yesterday was the fans.
Yeah.
I mean, the flags, and there's a sea of colour, and it meant so much.
Well, that's what I mean by the spectacle. I thought the spectacle of the beforehand was quite good.
Especially to Palace fans. I mean, it meant so much for them.
You're saying it meant so much. You could just see it, and that's what it was about. I'll not say anymore because people say I might be somewhat biased as to who the winners were there, but it's incredible. And that lad Henderson, the goalkeeper, what a story he's had. Yeah. And the lad who scored the goal.
Abera Eze. Yeah, fantastic. Went to Crystal Palace in 2020. He'd been at QPR before that. He'd been rejected by 4 clubs. He spent a week in his bedroom after Arsenal rejected him. QPR took him out of a supermarket. He was pushing trolleys.
How long ago? Like, literally?
That was about 2016. I'd say Millwall took a look at him. He wasn't for him. He went on loan to Wickham.
Listen to us. All the news was going on, and we were talking about the Cup final, and you're going to talk about it again in 20 minutes' time. And then there was all that other load of rubbish, Eurovision as well.
Big fan, Eamon. I could tell you're a big fan. You were glued to it. You're trying to hide it.
Cannot stand it.
No.
I'm glad I went to bed early, I tell you.
Although Ireland have Ireland still got the record amount of wins?
I think it's a draw, isn't it? Yeah.
Johnny Logan won it 3 times, didn't he? Remember?
What's another year?
Yeah.
That was one of the songs. What's
Hold Me Now?
Which is about how long it went on for last night, didn't it? It just started at, like, God knows when and went on to about 11 o'clock.
Dana, all kinds of everything. But anyway, so much to talk about. You might well have liked the Eurovision good luck to you. We're going to talk about that and lots of other things.
Yes.
Have your say today. We were just having our say. It's a nice Sunday. Let's celebrate it in whatever form we can. The top story, Dawn, is what?
Yeah, Brexit betrayal. We're going there again. Could be on the horizon with the EU-UK summit set to commence on Monday.
OK, so this is going to be tomorrow. Big talk scheduled. Prime Minister's claim closer ties with the EU could be the answer to a stronger job market, cheaper bills and improved border security.
Fury has erupted, though, over prospects of a youth mobility scheme opening our borders to 8 million young Europeans, and concerns have also risen over fishing rights again.
And so they should. While Sir Keir insists the scheme is not free movement, what exactly will Brexit reset deal entail? We've got Charlie Riley in the studio now with... I just think with what importance we should put on this, Charlie. What do you think?
Well, on the back of receiving a resounding nil point from the rest of Europe in Eurovision last night, it doesn't set up the talks particularly well for tomorrow morning. Our relationship with the EU and our EU partners and European countries seems to be still pretty low. But I think there are a number of things that need to be looked at. It is about security, I think, first and foremost, when you're seeing things like the war in Ukraine.
I think we've got a slight problem with your mic at the moment, but we'll be coming back to you.
I was enjoying what you had to say.
But I think, unfortunately, probably to people, it would have been like you were whispering. But, I mean, basically, it's... Ursula von der Leyen turns up, President of the European Commission. She's here tomorrow. Antonio Costa, the President of the European Council, at Lancaster House to meet Sir Keir Starmer. On the table is a deal that will bring the UK into the closest alignment.
But you see, what Charlie was saying there, I think, is the reality, which is basically the rest of Europe can't stand us. You know, so
kind of nailed it.
That was reflected in Eurovision.
Yes.
And your worry, Charlie, is that it's going to be reflected in political life as well, in real life as well.
Yeah, I think that's true. If you can hear me now, that's absolutely true. And I think the number one issue is about defence. And what's happened previously is where the EU currently prevents UK defence companies bidding for EU defence contracts when we have actually some of the best defence companies in the world, things like BAE Systems, for example. That's been held up because it is the French, I'm afraid to say, want access to our UK fishing waters. So these arguments have been going on for some time now to try and, as the French would say, better those relationships, to increase more business ties with the UK.
Well, I'm totally against this. But the industrial trawling of our seabeds, we've got to curtail it rather than encourage it and give it. And if it's going to anybody, it's going to our fisher people, as opposed to French, German, anybody else who's out there.
I think that's absolutely right. And I was listening to people over the weekend who say, you know, if you go back to the early days of going into the EU and see the desecration of some of our towns like Grimsby, you know, a great fishing port back in the day, a community that has obviously voted Labour for many years, voted Conservative back in 2019, now is probably looking to reform. You know, these are communities that feel that they have they've been left behind by successive governments in Westminster, but ultimately that started by the UK being in the EU because our fishing waters, communities, great fishing villages, were dried up because of the access the EU and French fishing trawls had into our waters. So it's a massive thing, I think, for communities right across the UK. And if it goes to the EU, if we're seen to be selling out to the EU, then I think that'll be a huge problem for many people right across the country.
Is this a reset, or is this a backdoor back into Brexit?
Well, it sounds a bit like a backdoor situation, because what do we get out of it? You know, an EU youth mobility scheme? Well, I'm all for young people having a nice time and going across Europe, and I think they should have those opportunities, but not in the current climate where it seems to be that you can get into the EU, into the UK, and the Home Office doesn't know where you are. It doesn't know if you overstay your welcome, if you overstay your visa. It can't track the people here in the first place.
Well, Charlie, it brings us to our poll of the day that we're going to throw out to our listeners and viewers, and interested in your perspective on this. We're asking you this morning, do you fear Brexit is being betrayed? OK, we'll give you the results as they come in throughout the programme. Make sure you stay tuned for the final result, which will be announced about 3 o'clock this afternoon.
In Nana's show, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for all the latest on our polls please do go to gbnews.com for how to get involved and for the details of how it's going. As I said, final result will be this afternoon. Now.
Do you see it as a betrayal of Brexit, Charlie?
I do. I think that there is the behaviour of certain partners. I think is just goes back to why people I think voted to leave. The idea that the UK can't be part of a defence cooperation already, or can't allow UK defence companies to be part of an EU contract scheme when we've got a war in Europe. I think, because that's being blocked by the EU, that's a problem. I think the EU wanting access to our fishing waters is a problem. People voted for Brexit for those reasons. And I think trying to, win ourselves back in and saddle up to the EU, we should be flexing our muscles still. We should be talking ourselves up. For too long, I think we always talk ourselves down. We're an independent island state now. We can do deals right around the world. If the EU, can't see that, then I think that's more of their problem than ours.
Yeah, we're going to them cap in hand. Charlie Rowley, thank you very much for joining us later. What do you think? gbnews.com/your say. Do you think Starmer is going to sell us back out to the EU? All that is happening tomorrow at that big meeting, so we will be covering it live here on GB News, obviously. Now, it was a night to remember, Eamon. Although clearly he's forgotten it completely already. It was the 69th Eurovision Song Contest in Switzerland, but not quite for the UK entry.
The hell just
Now, remember Monday, that's what they're called, by the way, not
Didn't even remember
Monday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, anything. So Remember Monday's the name of the group.
That's the name of the group. 3 lovely young ladies who found fame, I think, on The Voice. And they're very good singers, and they did really well. However, we got 0 points from the public vote.
OK. Austria and Israel went head-to-head come the end. Austria won their 3rd Eurovision with JJ's techno-opera song, Wasted Love.
I love the way you said that, like you knew exactly what you were saying. Techno, Eamon, it's...
Oh, she's got a better act interested now. Eurovision superfan Alad Norton today. Alad, what sort of final was it for you, my friend?
It was very, very good. I'm a little bit hoarse. You might be able to hear me. It was a brilliant night for me. I enjoyed it a lot. And, yeah, very happy to be talking to you today.
Well, why? Look, we can't avoid the politics, unfortunately. It was an amazing night. Lots of people enjoyed it. But there was politics involved again, and nobody likes us.
I know, but actually the juries did. So we got 88 points from the juries across Europe. I was sat there taking it all in, getting really surprised when we were getting 7 points here, 6 points there, 10 points here. So very happy that the juries across Europe actually did recognise that it was a good song, well sung, with some great performances. So I think we deserved a lot more from the public vote, for sure. But the juries recognised it. If it was just on public vote, then, of course, we would be there with 0 points, which is very undeserved, I think, because the girls did amazingly for us. So, yeah, very sad that the public didn't vote for us, but the juries recognised us.
Alad, the public did vote for Israel, didn't they? There was lots of love in the room from around Europe for Israel. The 12 points from many of the public juries in other countries.
Yes, they did, yeah. And, I appreciate it's a very political contest, and it's there are people that are making their voices heard politically. And, yeah, I mean... Israeli song, I'm not going to get into like the politics around that, but the song was well sung. She was, very professional. It was very kind of, it was a high level performance from her as well. And I was one individual that just respectfully watched, didn't cheer. I typically cheer and sing along to each and every song, but I just respectfully watched it and didn't turn away, didn't leave the arena because actually it was a very good song that she sang.
But Alan, if the Israeli song had have won, it would have created all sorts of problems that would have been stored up for next year where it would have been held, who would have attended, for instance, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And actually, there was a lot of relief around the community and in the fandom when Austria managed to pip them to the post, and we're very happy. We're very happy that they won. There was a lot riding on Sweden. Actually, Sweden were odds-on favourite last night, and Sweden have won a heck of a lot, and I've been to Sweden twice to see the contest. I didn't actually want to go to Sweden again, so I'm happy to be going to Austria in 2026, which is a little over 11 years since the last contest that I went to in Vienna. So yeah, very happy that the song was recognised, because JJ in Wasted Love, he has a fantastic voice, and the dance break was pretty good. So there was lots of dancing involved.
So Austria was the winner?
Austria was the winner. Israel came second. Let's have a look at Israel's entry, actually. It was really good.
New day will rise, life will go on. Everyone cries, don't cry alone. Darkness will fade, all the pain will go by.
The Israeli entry, it lost out eventually to Austria, and this was the winning song.
I wasn't expecting that. That was very operatic, Alid, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and it was very individual. There was no other song like it in the Eurovision this year, and yeah, very pleased for him. He's really embraced Eurovision this year, and you can just tell. I've been following all of the acts as they've been getting selected, and he's one of the ones that's he loved being part of the Eurovision, and I think he's done a lot for the community. He's done a lot for the contest, and he's just going to go on to be bigger and better. So very, very happy for him. Hopefully this is the start of his career, if he's not already established, which I think he is. A great voice.
We'll talk about him and his career and the winning song after 7 o'clock as well, Alid. And thank you very much indeed for painting the picture for us. We'll leave it there for the moment. Folks, if you're watching or listening and you have a view, you have your say, get in touch with us this morning. Let's have a look now at some other stories coming into the newsroom on this Sunday morning.
Yes, one person has died after a Navy ship belonging to Mexico collided with New York's Brooklyn Bridge. Almost 24 people were also injured in the accident. Police say the vessel lost power before the crash, but the bridge has since reopened.
Police have confirmed the arrest of a second man in connection with 3 arson incidents linked to the Prime Minister. The 26-year-old was arrested at Luton Airport yesterday by counter-terrorism officers. That's after a Ukrainian man, aged 21, was charged with 3 counts of arson with intent to endanger life.
And the inauguration of Pope Leo XIV is set to begin at 9 a.m. in St. Peter's Square in the Vatican City. The event will mark the official start of the first American Pope's term, with hundreds of thousands of Catholics expected to attend. Prince Edward is confirmed to be representing King Charles at the ceremony.
So from your point of view, the reason you wouldn't have seen Eurovision, you were out celebrating, rubbing shoulders with the stars.
I was out mixed. I actually went to a really lovely family birthday party last night. It was Jeremy Vine, TV presenter Jeremy Vine's. It was 60th birthday, giving his age away, sorry. But it was just a really lovely family party. His mum was there, his wife gave a lovely speech, his daughters gave a lovely speech as well. And it was just really nice. There were lots of celebrities there as well.
Who's there?
I'm so rubbish at recognising celebs. I knew you were going to ask me that.
Anyway, we'll have a
Lizzie
think.
Cundy was there.
And what celebrities were there?
Oh, Eamon, stop being mean. There was, I'll come back to you on that one.
OK, we'll come back to you on that one. Meanwhile, we'll have a look at the weather. The weather yesterday was very, very good. Hopefully it's going to be the same today. Here we go.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. There's a bit of a slow start out there. We've got quite a lot of low cloud, but once that lifts and break, we'll see plenty of warm sunshine. So there's a lot of low cloud across northeastern areas at the moment, across eastern parts of the Midlands and towards the southeast. But once the sun gets going, that will lift and break to reveal plenty of warm sunshine. It may just linger for a time across those North Sea coasts, but elsewhere, fine, dry, plenty of warm sunshine. Highs of up to 21, possibly 22 or 23 degrees. But where you've got this onshore flow across northern parts of Scotland and down that east coast, always on the cooler side here. So as we go through Sunday evening, it's going to be a bit of a rinse and repeat. We'll see further spells of low cloud just hugging some eastern coast, but out towards the west of Scotland, plenty of fine, dry weather. But there will be a few showers just developing across the far southwest of Scotland. Elsewhere, largely fine and dry. So as we go through Sunday evening and overnight into Monday, well, the return of low cloud does come in to much of eastern areas of England, always staying with the clearer skies further towards the west, where we may see some mist and fog patches developing. And where we see the clearer skies, that's where temperatures will fall. So we'll see a chilly start to Monday morning, but a cool start further towards the east underneath the blanket of low cloud. Then there's a bit of a change as we go through Monday. That low cloud will gradually lift and break. But actually, as we go through the afternoon, there will be a bit more cloud developing, especially across northern parts of England, and some showers will bubble up. Some of these could be on the heavy side, but the detail exactly where they are is still uncertain at this stage. But it will still be feeling warm in that sunshine, but cooler across eastern areas in the cloud.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop star to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
The new Pope, Holy Father Pope Leo, his inaugural Mass will be 9 o'clock UK time, 10 o'clock Central European time, and we'll be crossing there live this morning here at 9. But before all that...
It is time for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, I'm Reverend Mike at St Leonard's, Denton. Remember that warm night in Wembley, the final of Euro 2020, where we all just knew football's coming home? Luke Shaw scores an early goal for England. It's actually coming home. But fast forward 2 hours, and it's that same old heart-sinking story. England lose on penalties. Jesus' disciples also knew the pain of dashed expectations. For 3 years, they'd seen miracles and momentum. Here's the one who's going to beat back the Romans and put our country on the map. But instead, Jesus speaks of his return to heaven. No earthly kingdom, the Romans are still in charge. It's not coming home. But there's a big difference with that night in Wembley. Jesus' departure isn't a defeat, but a promise. I will send the Holy Spirit to you. And when the Spirit fills the disciples, they build God's kingdom, not just where they are, but in every corner of the globe. It is a kingdom that advances not by might and sword, but by transformed hearts. Have you ever expected one thing, but found that the outcome is even better than you'd ever dreamed? That's so often the case with Jesus. And his kingdom is open to all.
Thank you, Reverend Mike. And football really did come home for Crystal Palace supporters yesterday. Aidan is here to relive the FA Cup.
Heroic, an amazing day for spirit and togetherness. That's what Oliver Glasner, the Crystal Palace head coach, said. 164 years Crystal Palace have waited for this. And it's a decent club. They floated between the top two divisions. They've had some brilliant players down the years. And yesterday, yes, they defended. They didn't have much of the ball. But City didn't create quite enough. They were in the area several times and they didn't take their chances, not least, of course, with that penalty. And, yes, all right, we could see it was a penalty, there's no doubt about that. But just after that, just before that, I should say, Dean Henderson, should he be on the pitch? We saw the VAR call, didn't we? Did you see it, Dawn?
I did, yeah. And I was wondering whether the fact that it's the FA Cup final, and if you send the goalkeeper off straight away, it changes the whole course of the game.
It would have spoiled it, yeah, I would. Well,
so
their argument...
I know it shouldn't influence decisions, but...
It's possible. We saw it in the World Cup final in 2010. There was a big foul in the first 4 minutes and the referee, he bottled it, quite frankly, didn't he? Should have sent the guy off. But yesterday... Their argument was the ball was going away from goal and therefore it wasn't a goal-scoring opportunity. But if you look at the point of contact, Erling Haaland, somebody who could easily, of that ability, could easily have slotted the ball in. And I think that he missed a big chance there and there was a big error. So there's the question. Henderson probably shouldn't have been on the pitch, but he goes and saves the penalty. But you know what? You need a bit of luck to win the FA Cup, don't you?
Exactly that.
You really do. You really do. And some words here. Eberechi Eze, the guy who scored the goal, great counter-attack. We know a little bit about his story. He floated around from club to club in the South East, Reading, Fulham. He was at Millwall, he was at Arsenal. He cried for a week when he was rejected by Arsenal, couldn't see a way back. But rejection is part of sport. And he was picked up by Millwall. They said, no, he's not for us. QPR then picked him up. He was just floating around, pushing trolleys around. And he came into QPR, they sent him on loan to Wickham just to beef him up a little bit, and he came back a different player, and he glided past players, he went past them. You don't see that often in the game these days, and there he was yesterday.
But you don't see players like him.
No, you don't.
And he's guided by God, he would say, in lots of things.
There he is with Aidan, look.
So that's on day one at Crystal Palace. Was it? Yeah, that's me and him. His first interview as a Crystal Palace player just after lockdown in 2020. So I recommended him to Crystal Palace, and they went scouting him, and they signed him for 16 million plus 4 million add-ons.
Well, he strokes a ball beautifully.
He does.
I mean, he scores from outside that penalty area.
15 goal involvements this season now.
Yeah.
Pretty good from his position.
And a good winning goal it was.
Without doubt. I mean, I think it hit his shin, but the ball in was so good, and you have to control it. It's actually probably harder to score with your shin. It's with the inside of your foot. But what a moment. And then I have to say that, yes, they defended manfully, and City had a few openings, but I thought they were quite predictable, Man City. I could see where they were going on the pitch, and we saw a few sour grapes afterwards from Pep Guardiola.
I didn't like that. No, I didn't like that. That's not the magic of the FA Cup.
It isn't. But a word for Will Hughes as well. He came on, the Crystal Palace midfielder. He was part of the Watford side in 2019, who got beaten 6-0. Chastening experience. He came on as a substitute. He was substituted by Watford that day. He came on as a Palace player yesterday, much older, much wiser, and he helped them see out the victory. He performed manfully. And then Steve Parish, a word from him, the Crystal Palace chairman. He bought the club in 2010, a knockdown price, and he bought it out of administration. He stabilised it in the Premier League. Yesterday, they go and win that trophy. Magnificent.
Well deserved. I think they're a great club. I think they wanted it more as well.
They did.
I think there was real passion for it.
It was lovely to see how much the fans wanted it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well done.
There is a Premier League programme today. Last game at Goodison for Everton.
Yeah, I think that's the only story really in the Premier League today, and it's been overshadowed a bit by Crystal Palace's result yesterday. But yeah, I mean, it's a great bit of news from Everton this week from their point of view. The stadium is going to stand for a while longer. They play Southampton at home today. A massive scramble, Eamon, to get tickets for Everton fans in the last few weeks. There was even talk that Southampton fans, given that their team is so hopeless, they might actually sell those tickets to Everton fans just to let them see the game. Yeah. But nonetheless, it should be a brilliant party atmosphere today, and huge hope for them as well, because that stadium at Bramley Moor Dock is absolutely brilliant. And it just gives them a little bit of a chance. I think it's 50,000. I don't know if there's any scope to extend it based on success. But nonetheless, it looks wonderful if you hadn't seen it. Have you seen it?
I haven't. The name is an issue, though, isn't it?
Well, what is
the name all about?
What is the name all about?
So the site is called Bramley Moor Dock, but it was announced this week that a big law firm, I think a US-based law firm, one of the biggest in the world, Hill Dickinson. Hill Dickinson. They reckon that first of all they thought it was going to be a cross between Harry Hill and David Dickinson.
Yeah. just name it after a great Everton player or something.
Yeah, I know.
But you tell you what, we all had better really watch about American involvement in the British game, and it's happening from Wrexham right through.
I know.
And they don't play sport, and they don't like sport the way we like sport. They don't like promotion. They don't like relegation. They like guaranteed income.
I know.
And it's going to change our game forever. And they talk about the magic of the FA Cup. There's still magic in the FA Cup just before the Americans take that over as well.
Yeah, I know.
But
but you dismissed today's football as being not exciting. There is another very exciting game going on.
I know. Well, Forest at West Ham. Well, Forest is still chasing Champions League place. In fact, you can make that case for Newcastle as well. Brentford, Fulham, West London derby there. Leicester v Ipswich. I mean, that's a battle for the wooden spoon, isn't it? I think it's not actually because Southampton are going to finish bottom, but they're two relegated clubs.
And West Ham are playing for the chance to finish above Man United. Eamon Holmes.
Doesn't everybody finish above Man United? We'll be back again next time you're back. We're going to be talking about the golf, the USPGA, and what's happening there. But for the moment, thank you very much, Aidan. Appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. The Great British Giveaway. Here's how it could be yours.
And it's a good one. 67,000.
Someone is going to win the biggest prize package to date, and that someone could be you. Driving away in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. It has plenty of room for your family of four. Comes complete with kitchen, bathroom and all the space you'll need for life on the road. And the best news? You can drive it on your existing driving licence. Plus, we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Don't delay. You can't win if you're not in the draw. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network work rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
It's 36 minutes past 6 o'clock on this Sunday morning. Just looking ahead to 9 o'clock this morning, and these are pictures ahead of Pope Leo's inauguration, which will happen 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock local time there, and we'll bring you the atmosphere of that at 9 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, UK time. But before that, we are going to go through the newspapers today with Emma Wharf and Alex Dyke. There they are. Give us a wave, people. Thank you very much. And they're coming up right after this. This is GB News Breakfast with Eamon and Dawn. We'll see you soon.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Health programme that turns back the clock. Promotional Longevity is a wellness company with a difference. Using a combination of science and fitness, it aims to reduce people's biological age.
We take their initial tests and work out their biological age, and we take a history of their exercise, what they're eating, and then we make a bespoke programme that's kind of personalised to each participant, and that will guide them through 6 weeks of diet. Everything that they eat will be planned, their exercise is planned. We can help with supplements, anti-aging protocols for things like sleep, skincare, kind of all aspects of ageing really.
It comes as life expectancy in Yorkshire is one of the lowest in the country, according to the ONS.
Well, a man born in Yorkshire can expect to live almost a decade, well, in certain parts of Yorkshire, let's be more specific, can expect to live a decade less than someone born in certain parts of the south. That's pretty significant. People in Yorkshire can expect to be in poor health for the last 20 years of their life. And England as a whole, I mean, for one of the richest nations in the world, we lag behind Europe in terms of life expectancy and health expectancy, which is really the crucial thing to us, really. It's not about how many years you live. It's about living those years with some kind of quality of life.
62-year-old Debbie Shaw reduced her biological age by 17 years on Promotional Longevity's 6-week programme.
I lost 1.5 stone on their diet, and that's something that I just kind of accepted was older age. I'm a menopausal woman and we put weight on. I started off at 56 and I ended up at 39. And I feel 39 again.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
One of the great things about Sunday is settling down with the newspapers.
Sunday newspapers.
Yeah, except we can't do that. Because nobody delivered the newspapers to us today. So we've been told what's in the newspapers, and we can go online and find out what's in the newspapers.
We have a very good team telling us.
You have a
what's
team
in
of
the
crack
newspapers.
researchers who are working away.
It's broadcaster Alex Dyke and writer and journalist Emma Wharf, who have read newspapers at some point somehow.
Yeah.
We have.
Now, did you, having read the newspapers, did you watch Eurovision last night, Alex?
Eamon,
I'm afraid I can't stand Eurovision. I have very strong feelings about it, and I'll tell you why. Because we are one of the big 5 contributors that make it work. We are humiliated
year after year,
after year. And we gave Britain the Beatles and Queen and the Rolling Stones and Adele and Dusty Springfield. It's like Harry Kane playing for Aldershot.
Yeah.
We're so above Eurovision. We shouldn't even be in it. We should be looking down on it, maybe showing it and talking about it. It just costs us a lot of money.
But you see, there's where you're like me. You're making the mistake of associating Eurovision with music. And it's really got nothing to do with music. It seems to be, Emma, a sort of culture, a subculture.
I think it's a weird subculture. I think people are quite obsessive about it. But also it's a political point-scoring thing, isn't it? About getting nul point. Let's show the UK that they're rubbish and then we get nul point. But also, I think it's a bit rich to say, oh, we have the Beatles, we have Dusty Springfield. We can't ride on those coattails forever.
What, Adele? She's quite recent.
But they're better than most people's
Well, then let her enter, put her in Eurovision and do a belter, an absolutely brilliant song, and let her win it.
But her record company and management would never let anyone like that do it. Because they know they would be humiliated. I mean,
but was it good? Was the UK entry good yesterday?
It was average.
I thought it was good. I thought they were good singers. They did a great performance, and the juries actually voted for them positively. It was just the public.
We didn't get 1 point. Not millions and millions of people watching. Not one public vote. It's a disgrace.
Well, then either it's rubbish, don't, ignore it, don't take part, or you take part and you put up a brilliant British band and then we win it. But, I mean, you're kind of wanting it all different ways and harking back to our amazing British music history.
It's the British and the Americans that have always ruled the charts, from rock and roll through to today. And I just find it humiliating. And the BBC spend an absolute fortune on it.
Yeah, it's a joke. That is a joke.
And even if you did put Adele up, to be fair, she'd get nil point as well, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
Because it's not...
It's more of like a performance spectacle,
we are the Millwall of Eurovision contests. Let's be honest. Nobody likes us. We don't care.
Everybody hates us.
Well, talking of Europe, Emma.
Well, so the Prime Minister's been all cock-a-hoop, hasn't he, recently? He's been all cock-a-hoop about his US deal and his Indian trade deal. And tomorrow is the big EU. And actually, we've never had, the UK and the EU have never had a trade summit. Did you know that?
No.
I didn't know that. This is the first ever summit between the EU and the UK, and it's happening tomorrow. And already, the details, I mean, you've been talking through the details with Charlie Rowley, fishing, access to fishing waters, youth mobility scheme, all of that, a lot on security. But already, I think the details are being overshadowed by this sense of, is this the big Brexit betrayal? The Tories are already calling it the surrender summit, and I think Starmer's going to have to. It's a real political test for him, isn't it? We've got all the EU leaders descending, and what is he going to concede? Is he going to betray the millions and millions of us who voted for Brexit, of people who voted for Brexit, or is he going to stand tough? And the EU, they do talk tough in negotiations. They're not going to back down. So are they going to get what they want? And are we going to be humiliated? Is it going to be the big betrayal?
Well, should we find out after the break? Because we've got to go for the weather.
Yeah, before we go to the weather, just have this thought. We're giving away UK fishing rights again. And I just don't think we've got those rights to give away. I just don't think we have the fishing territory to give away. I don't think we have the fish. I don't think we have the resources to give away. And suddenly the environment is everything. The environment is everything. And suddenly it's nothing. I just leave you with that thought. European weather, here we go.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. Well, looking further afield, there's plenty of sunny spells across Europe, but also some thunderstorms breaking out with an area of low pressure. So across parts of Madeira, the Canary Islands, dry, fine, sunny spells. But we do have this area of low pressure, and across parts of Spain, northern Portugal, there will be some heavy and intense downpours, similar across parts of northeastern Europe as well. And that theme continues with sunny spells, but some showers too that could be heavy.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back. We are still here with Alex Dyke and Emma Wharf, who are going through the papers. We had a bit of a diversion about food, which we're coming to soon. But first, we're going to talk about the Home Guard, basically. Whose story is this?
Oh, yeah. Well, this is one of mine. And I'd be interested in what you guys think about this. So, this is in the Times. The Home Guard will be established to protect British power plants and airports against attack from enemies, terrorists. The Home Guard, of course, were formed in 1940. We all think of Dad's Army.
Dad's Army, that's what I'm thinking.
And we all think of pitchforks and all of that. They were disbanded in 1945.
Don't tell him, Pike.
Exactly. After the war, Second World War, they were disbanded. But the irony in this is they were set up to protect our coastal areas, to stop people coming in to Britain, which maybe we should have reformed them 10 years ago with the way things are going on. But how on earth they are going to protect us from the enemy now, the Home Guard? Because, of course, if you're in the armed services now, you have specialist equipment to do this with. You can't send a guy out with a pitchfork anymore.
This is just ridiculous.
Is it going to be cyber attack in any case?
Exactly. Most of the threat comes from online. You then have, random 21-year-olds popping up and seeming to know a lot about personal security of very high-profile people in this country. So the threat isn't actually coming from... And we really... Only a few weeks ago, they were saying that the majority of young people in this country wouldn't want to fight for their country, wouldn't want to... just don't feel patriotic about British.
That's the bigger story,
Well, of course it is. Of course it is. What are they defending? And who would volunteer for this? It's not like Dad's Army. I do think, though, if you ask people to go down to the coastline and stop the dinghies coming in, I think a lot of people might volunteer. I think a lot of people are angry, especially in those regions. They might just go, you know what? You're not coming, you're not landing.
OK, let's, when we're down at the coastline, let's be on the lookout for seagulls. The thing about these seagull attacks, and these are flying rats, these are vermin, and we have encouraged them as a population to do what they do, but something's got to be done about them. Seagull attacks up for the 5th year in a row.
So apparently over 50% of us have been dive bombed by these seagulls. And they're actually pretty frightening. You say flying rats. If you are near a hungry, angry seagull... I mean, I went a few years ago for a sort of romantic break. Somewhere, I think it was Brighton, all night outside the hotel room with these hordes of seagulls. And I realised what it must be like to live in these really coastal, real coastal towns, but where people are leaving everything out, as you say, chips, open food, bins overflowing. I mean, you see a lot of foxes in London, I think because of bins and not enough collections and all of that.
They're huge
The wingspan is really...
Albatrosses.
Pretty frightening.
Exactly, golden eagles and albatrosses.
I'm getting a little bit carried away, boys, but...
Well, I had my chips taken on Ryde Seafront on the Isle of Wight, beginning of spring, I suppose. Not only did he or she come and take them, they swooped round and went in for a second go. I dropped them by then.
Two things. How dare you gender a seagull? You know you can't do that these days. Someone will complain.
Well, I do apologise.
And were you sitting there waving your chips around?
No, I was just carrying them. Well,
look, if it's not chips you're waving around, what about pasta? Where are you with pasta?
Well, it's apparently, Eamon, it's good for you. Well... Let me just check this story over again. But, they're saying research has shown that it's good news for lovers of spag bowl, lasagna. Eating pasta can actually make you happy and reduce stress.
I think quite the opposite. I think it's lovely food.
Exactly. This is the point of the story. It's good for the soul.
But it's not good for your waistline, it's not good for the thickness of your neck, it's not good for your ankles, whatever. So we've got to be taught one way or the other. Do we gorge on pasta or do we not?
Hold on a minute. All of those things you said about pasta thickening your waistline and your ankles and whatever are probably true. Is chocolate good for you? No. Does it make you happy? Yes. Is wine good for you? No. Does it make you happy? The point of this story, pasta's good for the soul. Look at how the Italians live. They live on pasta. Mummy makes a massive pot of pasta and the family come round. They live properly. Look at the way the miserable Brits are rushing along the street holding a manky sandwich from a sandwich shop.
They can have a wine and beer and pasta and make it last all a Sunday afternoon.
And they eat properly, they eat with family, they talk over meals. We've got miserable teenagers shoveling food in, getting obese, having anxiety and depression.
Miserable teenagers in Italy. All teenagers are miserable.
Actually, they live really differently. They meet friends, they go out for a meal, they drink and they eat. They don't go out binge drinking.
Oh, dear.
Stab each other on the bus home.
Dear.
Pasta's good for the soul.
Guys, thank you. We're going to leave it there. We're going to look at the weather and we thank Alex and Emma and they'll be back in about 40 minutes' time. See you after this.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a bit of a slow start out there. We've got quite a lot of low cloud, but once that lifts and break, we'll see plenty of warm sunshine. So there's a lot of low cloud across northeastern areas at the moment, across eastern parts of the Midlands and towards the southeast. But once the sun gets going, that will lift and break to reveal plenty of warm sunshine. It may just linger for a time across those North Sea coasts, but elsewhere, fine, dry, plenty of warm sunshine, highs of up to 21, possibly 22 or 23 degrees. But where you've got this onshore flow across northern parts of Scotland and down that east coast, always on the cooler side here. So as we go through Sunday evening, it's going to be a bit of a rinse and repeat. We'll see further spells of low cloud just hugging some eastern coast, but out towards the west of Scotland, plenty of fine, dry weather. But there will be a few showers just developing across the far southwest of Scotland. Elsewhere, largely fine and dry. So as we go through Sunday evening and overnight into Monday, well, the return of low cloud does come in to much of eastern areas of England, always staying with the clearer skies further towards the west, where we may see some mist and fog patches developing. And where we see the clearer skies, that's where temperatures will fall. So we'll see a chilly start to Monday morning, but a cool start further towards the east underneath the blanket of low cloud. Then there's a bit of a change as we go through Monday. That low cloud will gradually lift and break. But actually, as we go through the afternoon, there will be a bit more cloud developing, especially across northern parts of England, and some showers will bubble up. Some of these could be on the heavy side, but the detail exactly where they are is still uncertain at this stage, but it'll still be feeling warm in that sunshine, but cooler across eastern areas in the cloud.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Someone is going to win the biggest prize package to date, and that someone could be you. Driving away in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It has plenty of room for your family of 4. Comes complete with kitchen, bathroom, and all the space you'll need for life on the road. Plus, we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The government ramps up final preparations one day before the first ever EU summit.
But whispers of a youth mobility movement and increased access to fishing waters around Britain has critics
raising their eyebrows. Rumours the EU is trying to squeeze out more of the last-minute negotiations. So could this be the beginning of the end for Brexit, or an EU deal finally worth our while?
Kingdom. From the public, you get 0 points.
UK awarded 0 points as Austria pips Israel in the 11th hour to take home their third win.
Yes, Israel nearly pulled off an almighty Eurovision upset last night, but it was Austria who took the trophy home. I'll have all the latest from Basel later in the show.
And the new Pope Leo's official inauguration is taking place this morning. We'll be bringing you live scenes from the Vatican from 9 o'clock.
A second man arrested over an arson attack on the Prime Minister's home. Many are demanding our frontline politicians are better protected.
And is it time to build supermax prisons? More violence than ever before on prison officers has many calling for Britain to build its own Alcatraz.
A triumph for amazing spirit and togetherness. Those are the words of Crystal Palace boss Oliver Glasner as his side ended a 164 wait for a major trophy by winning the FA Cup against Manchester City at Wembley. We'll have reaction throughout the morning.
Hello. Well, we have got quite a lot of low cloud out there this morning, but that should lift and break to reveal a good deal of sunshine. I'll have all the details coming up shortly.
Hello, very good morning to you on this Sunday morning. I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Dawn Newsom, and this is GB News Breakfast.
We just want to say to you that Dawn and I are here this morning because Stephen and Anne are elsewhere.
Yeah, having a well-deserved break.
Why is all breaks well-deserved?
Because, well, unless it's us, of course, we don't deserve them. We're just here, Eamon.
Yeah. I used to do the odd thing filling in for certain people whose breaks weren't well-deserved. So I never would say it.
Oh, go on.
But no.
Tell, Eamon. Go on.
I'll tell you
Name
after
names.
But Stephen Dixon and Anne Diamond, very well-deserved. Very, very well-deserved. So glad to do your turn, guys. Aidan, FA Cup, did you enjoy it?
I did. You know why? Because we got a story. Yeah. And you can count on one hand the number of decent FA Cup finals we've seen since 1990, which I think you were at back when Crystal Palace...
Oh, no, let me tell you. Palace played 1990, right? Yeah. And that was my first FA Cup final, and that was... I got tickets for the replay.
Yes, so Thursday night.
Thursday night?
It was a Thursday night.
Well, I thought it was a Wednesday night.
No, it's Thursday night.
But there you go. That just shows you how time plays tricks with your mind.
It was 35 years ago, to be fair.
So there we are. The replay. Lee Martin scored the goal for United. United win 1-0. And there it was, and I went on my own, and I thought, gosh, so I was there on my own.
Well, that was Fergie's first trophy. That set the ball rolling.
That saved his job.
It saved his job, and it also kick-started a dynasty which lasted all the way up until 2013. Absolutely extraordinary. Who'd have thought it? He was in the doldrums then. Yeah. The club was. I mean, earlier in the season, around Christmas time, it was a third-round game at Nottingham Forest, which I reckon started that, wasn't it? The Mark Robbins goal.
Mark Robbins.
And then the rest is history, as I say. Well,
but what about where will history go, or how will history see Crystal Palace from here on in? This is their first trophy. Now, people talk about the first major trophy. I don't know what they mean by that, but I mean it's the first trophy basically in 972 years.
Well, it's a staging post for them because I mean they've come close before. You mentioned 1990, 2016 against United as well. Don't forget they took the lead in extra time. Jason Puncheon scoring a great volley, and United turned it round in Louis van Gaal's last game. But in terms of where they go now, I think they've got enormous potential. They've got some big conurbations around South London that they could really sort of tap into. They've been a Premier League club now since 2013, and that's the longest spell by a long chalk that they've spent in the top flight. So who knows? I mean, they need to build a new ground. They possibly need a new training ground as well. But stuff like this can really help them because it's international competition. People pay attention to it. They may even attract players off the back of it.
You know what I like about Palace, and congratulations if you're hungover this morning. I don't blame you, by the way. But it's like they're a family club still. And
yes.
their support is still in the local area.
I hate to burst your bubble.
Oh, God.
But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen now. They'll be sold. Yeah, that'll set them up.
They're another club majority American-owned.
Yeah, Crystal Palace. Yeah, the Crystal Palace. And they'll build a Crystal Palace around it and goodness knows what.
It has the feel of a family club, and the supporters mostly come from the area. So many of the players still come from the area.
Yeah, they do. They desperately need... Well, this is the thing, Eze, where the guy who scored the winning goal yesterday, I mean, they should have had him many years before. He's born in Greenwich, and he played for clubs around Lambeth. And they should have had him, but players slipped through the net.
Yeah.
Aidan, see you again in about 15, 20 minutes and we'll talk in more depth. Thank you very much indeed. So the top story this morning is worries of a betrayal of Brexit being carried out by the government. Trade negotiations will enter a big phase tomorrow at a summit in London.
The Prime Minister is claiming closer ties with the EU could be the answer to a stronger job market, improved border security and even cheaper bills.
But fury has erupted over talk of a youth mobility scheme for under 30s, whilst the EU is also said to be demanding more access to fishing waters. So what does all this mean? What will it mean? What effect will it have on breakfast? Political commentator Charlie Rowley this morning on all of this. Charlie, does your antennae go off, or your warning sensors go off on this one, or are you comfortable enough?
I'm afraid it does. I'm slightly cautious. Whenever you get the big headline announcements, even before a summit, you know, clearly they've been in lots of talks. There's some obviously deals that have been done already. They're just waiting to announce it tomorrow. But the upsides, if we talk about the upsides to begin with, the EU will say that it will reduce, for one, passport waiting time reductions at European passports. So if you're going on holiday, as a UK citizen, currently you have to stand in another queue. And there's long waiting times if you're taking your family away on an Easter holiday or a summer holiday. You can now go through the gates that you used to be able to do, the EU gates, so it speeds up your waiting time, your holiday time. So that's a positive. They'll say that there'll be greater trade on food and agri goods. Which
sausages are quite important in this.
Sausages are always important, I think, particularly on a Sunday morning if you're having a fry-up. So that reduces bills. It allows supermarkets to flourish. And also they'll talk up an EU mobility scheme, which allows UK citizens, students to go and travel and study abroad. Now, the downsides to all of these things is that, and also with a UK defence cooperation agreement with the EU, where UK companies will have access to £150 billion worth of defence contracts where you can contribute in the EU. The downside to that is the EU want access to our fishing waters, something that obviously lots of people voted for Brexit for in the first place because, you know, there was too many French trawls in our UK waters. The downsides are obviously when it comes to that agri and foods deal, who will be the arbiter of seeing the processes and checks between the UK and EU? It's the EU. The UK judicial system will have no say in that. That's EU regulation. That's EU courts regulating UK.
We're already living through this nightmare in Northern Ireland, of course. You know, as to what is regarded as UK and what is regarded as European Union. But just fascinating to see what way it's all going to turn out and what's expected from people.
There was an interview that, because Starmer is obviously asked all the time, you know, because he was sort of like a Brexit shadow, wasn't he, back in the day, very, very pro a second referendum. And he gave an interview this weekend saying, OK, the questions I'm going to ask when we go to this meeting tomorrow morning with Ursula von der Leyen is, what I'm going to ask about the British people, is it going to make us better off? Does it make me safer in our community, the Brits safer in their community, and does it help ensuring that we have controlled our borders? Those are the questions that Keir Starmer was going to this meeting with in his head, right, for us lot, for the Brits. And I'm going through those questions and going, well, am I going to be better off? Doesn't sound like it. Does it make me safer in my community? Definitely not. And will we have control of our borders? Yeah. How's that smashing the gangs going?
Well, exactly. And let's just take that third one. I mean, you know, even though you voted Brexit, or the UK's voted for Brexit, we voted to leave the EU, we pay millions of pounds to the French to have a cooperation agreement to patrol that channel, to stop people leaving Calais, or should be leaving Calais to come into Dover. So those crossings should be stopped. What possible agreement does there need to be further to that if that bargain doesn't appear at times to be upheld, usually by the French side? What possible more do you need in order to stop that problem? I think people will be looking at this this deal and thinking, what is the number one priority for the UK? It's to stop the boats. It's to stop illegal crossings. It's not to start...
Well, I would say the only boats they're going to stop are our own fishing boats. And I'd say they're not a priority. And, you know, British farmers will echo this story. They'll say, we're ignored, we're neglected, we're not regarded as important. And fishermen can add themselves to the same difficulties on this.
I think that's right. And just on the back of, you know, a US deal that was supposed to be heralded as a great thing, when actually I think tariffs just reduced to what they were before Donald Trump raised those tariffs. So British farmers, for example, now have to compete with US beef and chlorinated chicken, perhaps coming into the UK. They'll now have to compete with European counterparts. So, you know, bad deal for British farmers. You could say bad deal for British fishermen, bad deal for border security, maybe.
And the other thing about this, right, if we do a deal with the EU, which lots of people understandably are suspicious about, where does that leave all this America? I mean, Trump doesn't exactly have a great opinion of the EU, does he?
Well, that's the thing. If we're tied into any kind of deal with the EU that is overseen by the EU, so the European courts, when it comes to these arbitering between UK companies and the EU, if Trump all of a sudden decides to slap on tariffs again at the EU, that will have a knock-on effect to British supermarkets, obviously. So the idea of being an independent state, being able to make those trade deals with the US and the EU independently was an advantage. Are we going to lose that at the end of this summit? We'll have to wait and see by the end of tomorrow.
So the poll of the day we're running today is we're asking you, do you fear Brexit is being betrayed by these talks? Have your say, scan that code there and register your vote on that one, and we'll announce that this afternoon on here on GB News.
Yeah, it's Nana's show. And for all our latest polls, news and how to vote, just go to gbnews.com/poll.
So, final word, Charlie, anything you just want to say, just to when people are considering what way to vote on that one, a betrayal of Brexit, what do you think?
Well, that's the politics. So, you know, as Dawn said earlier, Sikhistan will talk up the deal, better for security, better for business. They'll try and paint Kemi Badenoch and Nigel Farage, who are probably going to be against the deal, to say that they're anti-business, anti-growth, but they'll be coming out to say, well, hold on, this is a surrender of our sovereignty to EU courts again. This is increasing migration through the EU mobility scheme. So it depends on which side you fall down, but I don't think it'll be plain sailing for the Prime Minister tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Let us know what you think out there, gbnews.com.
Do you know what I think?
What's your say?
I think the world has gone mad. I don't think it's ever been worse outside of World War or whatever, but it's just chaos, the way we think, the way we do, the way we're headed, how we're bringing up our kids. Just what on earth is the sort of world? You know, I said to a young person said to me yesterday, as soon as I can, I'm getting out of this country. I said, and go where? And go where? Where would it be any better? You know, there's a lot wrong with this country, but there's a lot right. But there's a lot that I think a lot of people in charge aren't doing to preserve this country, and that's the whole...
Yeah, and Charlie alluded to this earlier on. We talk ourselves down so much.
Well, you say we do. Sorry, leave me out of that.
No, not you personally, not you personally. It wasn't personal, even. No, but we do. As a country, we do.
Well, they do. They do. Politicians do.
Our Prime Minister does.
Well, OK, if that's what would you say, Charlie? Would you add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would. I mean, look, if you think back to, you know, the start of the Labour government, it was quite negative. You know, it was talking down the economy. It was talking about the woes of the past.
It's going to be horrible, they said. They literally came in saying it's going to be horrible.
Yeah, and
but look, you got Rachel Reeves and talking about we're up 0.diddly with squat of a percent or whatever it is, and we've saved the world and whatever it is. Her next set of economic figures are going to be disastrous, right? Her pension increases will have kicked in and whatever. And that's not talking things down. That's just reality. And you know, you can't listen to her saying we're making Britain great again. We're doing this, we're doing that, because these next figures will be atrocious, and I don't know where she goes after that.
Well, I do think that's true, and I think that's why I've heard, you know, in the margins that the Treasury is very keen for this UK-EU deal, and that's obviously caused a bit of a rift with the Home Office that are trying to get on top of EU migration numbers when there's an EU now mobility scheme in play, because she wants any good news to sort of go out to her next budget and say, look, we've got deals.
It's all go. Listen, come back after 8 o'clock. We'll talk
with
more.
Some really good news.
Thank you.
Talk about sausages. We're going to cheer you up now, though, aren't we? Because it's our Great British giveaway, and it's the biggest one today. And it's your chance to drive away around Europe, if you want to, in a brand new motorhome worth over £67,000.
Would you like to go away in a motorhome? I think you and I, driving a motorhome, Where would we go? I'd like to bring you around Ireland, around the coastal roads in Ireland.
I'd love to go to Ireland. I've never been to Northern Ireland. I'd love to do the coast.
The weather in Ireland at the minute is brilliant, and the coastal roads just super.
We're off.
That's what you want to do.
We're off. Unfortunately, we can't enter. We'll have to
We
go
can
and buy
still drive the
one.
coast road. I can bring you to Cushendall or Ballycastle or...
I quite do it in like in a vintage Jag or something like that. How does that sound?
That sounds all right to me.
Okay. Anyway, if you want the camper van, here's how you win it.
It's just 3 weeks left to grab your chance to win. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be spending your summer touring in this stylish Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. Worth over £67,000. This brand new 2025 model comes complete with kitchen and bathroom areas and enough space to comfortably sleep a family of 4. We'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to add a few of your favourite things, or just spend it however you like. Don't miss out as lines close on the 6th of June. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, we've talked about the FA Cup final yesterday. It's the Women's FA Cup final today, and it was a night to remember last night. Last night was the 69th Eurovision Song Contest.
You're so excited, aren't you? You couldn't take your eyes off it.
I do remember when I was a young kid and it was black and white, and it was an amazing thing that they would go live by satellite to, what was her name? Barbara, no, it wasn't her name. What was her name? Let's see her name. You forget. What was her name? You used to host Eurovision.
Oh,
No, I don't know. Anyway, it's gone for me, but it's just the age and stage I'm at. But you remembered all these things, and it was live, Switzerland or whatever it is, and it was a big thing. And it was when Europe was Europe, not Israel, and goodness knows who. Is South Africa in it? It's all around the world, isn't it?
Australia are in it, or they were in it. They lost in the semi-finals. But it wasn't quite as political then. But last night it did get quite political. And remember Monday, which is the UK entry, we came 19th and we got nil points.
Did you expect any more? Let's get a flavour of it. Here we go.
The hell does
Well, Austria won, but Israel came very close, didn't they?
Israel did come very close. Everybody thought you could hear the sighs of relief from the EBU, the European Broadcasting Union bosses, when Austria picked them at the final hour that they didn't have to organise a song contest in Tel Aviv next year.
Yes.
Yes. And what a pleasure it is to be sitting here with the Eurovision fan club from the United Kingdom.
Understand, Alex, totally get that. Right, as it come to the day, it used to be, you know, we would remember who won Eurovision, like ABBA and Waterloo, or Johnny Logan, What's Another Year, or Dana, all kinds of everything, or whatever it is.
A bit of an Irish theme going on there, if you don't mind me mentioning.
But Ireland have won it more than anybody
They're
else.
still joint. I think they've won it 8 times, Ireland.
With Sweden.
Joint with Sweden, yeah. There you go. Last night it was won by Austria, a guy called JJ, who actually appeared on The Voice in the UK a couple of years ago. Very, very good singer, but like I say, a lot of the evening was focused around Israel. Israel won a huge amount of the public vote. Obviously, the way the system works on Eurovision is the juries, the professionals get together, they sort of delegate the scores out amongst the other countries, and then the public have their say. Israel were middling in the leaderboard before the public vote, and they shot to the top, and they were right at the top, right to the end. And Austria just picked them at the final moment. But there was a lot of controversy last night that didn't quite make it onto screens about Israel as well. We had 3 protesters that were detained for trying to burst onto the stage during Israel's performance. Obviously, you know, I don't need to delve into the political issues that surround that.
So basically, it's interesting. You and I, we're sitting now talking here about political intervention, political statements, and whatever it is, and we're not really talking about music. Is that not dangerous?
In a way, but I mean...
What do you want? What do you want when you watch on a Saturday night? Whatever, presumably you want to see a song, you want to see a performance.
Yeah.
You're not really interested in people waving flags and making protests about, however noble or not the cause may be.
Well, this one was by a group called Youth Demand. It was three people, two of them from the UK. I believe they've released a video on social media of them attempting to storm the stage while Yuval Raphael is the Israeli singer. She was the one. They released a video on social media of the moment where security swarmed on their protesters and the singer was left supposedly shaken and upset by the entire ordeal.
Wait, you know what? Go on, carry on.
Sorry, yeah, you're right, because obviously I'm here as an entertainment journalist. I'd love to talk to you about the songs and, you know, who I thought was good. But these things do end up dominating. And the thing is that the EBU, who organised the whole thing, have defended their inclusion of Israel because they say that Eurovision isn't a political event.
Well, what on earth would they have done if Israel had won?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Because that would be a boycott next year. I mean, again, it's not me making a statement one way or the other. It's just the reality is that there would have been huge objections to Israel staging, hosting the contest.
But it also says something about maybe it's an indictment of the attitude in Europe at the moment that Israel got such a huge chunk of the public vote. The UK audience vote gave Israel the most votes from us.
Yeah.
So everybody in the UK voted for Israel more than anybody else.
The thing with these idiots from Youth Action, I think it's a 27-year-old and a 22-year-old. Have we got a clip of this? Can we show that? Yes. Right,
yeah, so they weren't arrested, they were detained by organisers at the time and then released, and then a Basel police spokesperson said it's up to the organiser now if they want to press charges about this.
You know what annoys me about this, though, Alex, is Yuval's in her 20s. She's a survivor of the Nova Music Festival on October the 7th. She hid under the bodies of her mates for 8 hours. What she's achieved is amazing. Ignore the politics. And these idiots in their 20s behaving like that to this woman that survived all those horrors, they should hang their head in shame.
There's a sort of, in my personal opinion, a real lack of sort of, like, we don't look at the human anymore. We just completely... We grab a cause and we run for it. This is her performing last night as well. And this song was inspired by those horrific events on October 7th. BBC commentator Graham Norton, I wrote a piece about this last night. He got into a bit of hot water with viewers because he mentioned the fact that she had only started singing a year ago, but failed to mention that it was inspired by the fact that the Hamas attacks.
Yes.
So you would have thought if you're going to make a point about the fact she's only just started singing, you know, at the BBC, why can't you
what a pity we're not here just talking about the songs. But Alex, come back, we'll talk about songs.
Later on we will.
Next time. I know you've got lots and lots to talk about. Thank you very much indeed, as Catherine Chalk's got a lot to talk about on the weather front.
Fingers crossed.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a bit of a slow start out there. We've got quite a lot of low cloud, but once that lifts and breaks, we'll see plenty of warm sunshine. So there's a lot of low cloud across northeastern areas at the moment, across eastern parts of the Midlands and towards the southeast. But once the sun gets going, that will lift and break to reveal plenty of warm sunshine. It may just linger for a time across those North Sea coasts, but elsewhere, fine, dry, plenty of warm sunshine, highs of up to 21, possibly 22 or 23 degrees. But where you've got this onshore flow across northern parts of Scotland and down that east coast, always on the cooler side here. So as we go through Sunday evening, it's going to be a bit of a rinse and repeat. We'll see further spells of low cloud just hugging some eastern coast, but out towards the west of Scotland, plenty of fine, dry weather. But there will be a few showers just developing across the far southwest of Scotland. Elsewhere, largely fine and dry. So as we go through Sunday evening and overnight into Monday, well, the return of low cloud does come in to much of eastern areas of England, always staying with the clearer skies further towards the west, where we may see some mist and fog patches developing. And where we see the clearer skies, that's where temperatures will fall. So we'll see a chilly start to Monday morning, but a cool start further towards the east underneath the blanket of low cloud. Then there's a bit of a change as we go through Monday. That low cloud will gradually lift and break. But actually, as we go through the afternoon, there will be a bit more cloud developing, especially across northern parts of England, and some showers will bubble up. Some of these could be on the heavy side, but the detail exactly where they are is still uncertain at this stage. But it will still be feeling warm in that sunshine, but cooler across eastern areas in the cloud.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday from 8 p.m.
Questions include, do you relax in a drawing room or lounge? I think the answer's obvious there. Do you have a big flat screen TV? Yeah, I do actually. And who did you cheer on in the boat race? Easy, Oxford, albeit unsuccessfully. That gives you an idea of where I stand, but let's quiz my panel, who will get points. And we all know that points make prizes. So, Lloyd, is it called a drawing room or a lounge?
A lounge.
A lounge. Tim, drawing room or a lounge?
Sitting room.
It's called a sitting room. So, well, I actually call it a winter parlour in Somerset. So none of us get any points for calling it a drawing room. There's always an agreeable chill in my home. Tim, true or false?
Of your home, yes.
No, of yours. You've been to stay.
This is a very interesting one, and actually, yes, I think it's true.
Okay.
I think in my house it is true, because I've got wooden windows.
You've got 5 points. You're getting quite posh. Lloyd?
True, my office manager used to have to wear a coat when he came round to my house.
All right, following on with Lloyd, scrambled eggs are strictly for breakfast.
Oh, no, false.
False, you get another 5 points for that. You are quite posh. I get points for that as well, actually. Tim? Scrambled eggs?
No, not just for breakfast.
Not just for breakfast. We're a very posh team.
So it's not posh to think...
All right. I don't have a downstairs loo, Lloyd.
Well, I don't at the moment because it's under refurbishment.
But under normal circumstances?
Under normal circumstances, yes.
All right, so that gets you no points on that one. Tim?
Fans of Are You Being Served will know that the test for being lower middle class is having a downstairs loo and being within walking distance of a mainline station, and I have both.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, we're going to talk about assaults in prison, and we're thinking, you know, if you're at school and, you know, the careers teachers coming around, I wonder how often they say, have you ever thought about being a prison officer? Now, I'm going to ask you something.
OK.
Assaults on prison officers last year, how many?
I'd say a few thousand, maybe 5,000. Higher? 8,000? Higher? Oh, my Lord. OK, let's go for 10,000 then. 10,000.
Right on it. So there's a shocking rise, 10,000 assaults being reported, and it's led to calls for us to have tougher prisons. So is it time to build a supermax prison, not to so much house the prisoners, but to protect the officers?
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting debate, isn't it? So joining us now is former prisoner and justice journalist David Shipley and Labour councillor Lambeth Martin Abrams. Thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen. I read this story yesterday in the Mail, and this is based on the super prisons in America, where literally you have nothing in your cell. You have a concrete stool, you have a concrete desk thing. There's no kettles, there's no TV. It's really, really hard. Isn't this what we need to protect our own prisons officers? Who wants to go first on this one?
Sure, I will. I was at the Prison Officers Association conference this week, and that's the union for frontline prison staff. And what really struck me is how normal violence against officers is. On Wednesday morning, news broke there had been two very savage attacks at HMP Woodhill, and the men and women I spoke to said it's just normal. You know, I met one man who'd had his jaw broken 3 times by officers. There is a huge level of violence, and it's just not normal or right in a workplace that people have to expect that level of violence.
Mark, I mean, surely that's a very valid point. I mean, prison officers do an incredibly hard job, and the pay isn't...
Is that we seem to be going down the pathway of the USA, who have, you know, hundreds of these supermax prisons, and their recidivism rates, which means they're reoffending and then re-entry into prison, are some of the highest in the world. We're talking like 80% of prisoners released are then put back into prison after 2 years for reoffending. If you look at countries like Norway that pursue, you know, one of the most sort of progressive and humane sort of prison systems in the world, their reoffending rate is below 20%, and they basically pursue a program of rehabilitation and reintegration in society. So, you know, another key point, and I think it's really good that the Prison Officer Association is mentioned, is because they have not had the right to strike for over 30 years. They've got some of the most draconian anti-trade union laws, and what that means in the workplace is that they cannot collectively bargain for better working conditions for themselves, for better conditions essentially in prisons, and it's basically like a doom loop, and prisons just get worse and worse, their working conditions get worse and worse, and we see absolutely horrific rates of assaults, as Eamon mentioned earlier.
Yeah, what prisons do you have in your constituency as a councillor there, Martin?
I don't have any in my ward in particular, but we have a Victorian prison in Brixton Prison, which you know is a really old prison. I'm from Manchester originally, my hometown, and you know got really startling similarities to the old Strangeways prison. And it is incredible that these Victorian era prisons are still being used today for prison officers to work in, for prisoners to serve their time. They're not fit for purpose, and that really just goes to show how much underfunding has been put into the prison and rehabilitation system, and that's why we've got significantly higher recidivism rates than a country like Norway. We need investment. We need to pursue a program of rehabilitation and reintegration rather than these draconian supermax prisons.
But you see, listening to what Martin had to say there, David, I sort of despair, because I'm sure he's right, but it ain't going to happen because the money ain't there and the will isn't there. And what governments don't realise is that people are very happy that their taxes should go on things like police forces and prison systems and whatever. But why do politicians just not listen to that? Because everybody wins, everybody loses if the system's wrong, and everybody wins if the system and reintegration is right.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. A couple of things that Martin said. The supermax prisons that are being proposed are not for all prisoners. That we're specifically looking at them for the most dangerous men, sadistic killers, terrorist murderers who realistically will never be released. So this doesn't really feed into the debate about rehabilitation. These are prisoners with no realistic prospect of ever being released or rehabilitated. He is absolutely right that in the prison system generally, we're very bad at rehabilitating. A lot of men just get locked in their cells for 23 hours a day, staring at daytime TV, taking drugs. Nothing really effective or good happens in most BCAT and CCAT jails. And it's not really about the buildings. I know people like to focus on the buildings, but lots of terrible jails that have high levels of violence and drugs are in modern buildings. Some older jails can be run well. It's more about the people in there and the culture. And I think this is the real problem. The Ministry of Justice and the leadership of the prison systems had a really bad, toxic culture, in many ways morally corrupt culture for a long time, and no one really wants to grapple with that.
Well, somebody's going to have to grapple with 10,000 assaults. I don't know how they recruit people to the profession. Guys, thanks for airing the subject there. People will have their thoughts and their considerations, and they'll be getting in touch with us throughout the programme this morning. So, former prisoner and justice journalist David Shipley, thank you very much indeed. Labour councillor for Lambeth, Martin Abrams, thank you very much indeed. Unfortunately, we've got to leave it there. Thank you.
Thanks.
Just looking ahead today, we're going to be crossing live to Rome. The Pope Leo's inaugurational Mass, his first Mass, will be at 9 o'clock UK time this morning.
Yeah. But first, Crystal Palace and make FA Cup history, and more on that with Aidan McGee, and that's coming up next. This GB News Breakfast with Eamon and Dawn.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, the Eagles landed yesterday at Wembley and they took that FA Cup with them.
and they soared up to the sky.
Oh, don't you start.
Sorry.
Oh.
Yes, I used to work on tabloid papers as well.
Yeah, Aidan McGee, just get on with it. Yeah, OK. There was a football match, Crystal Palace won.
What a story. You know what? One of the things that's contributed to the decline in kind of prestige of the FA Cup in the last 30-odd years is that matches, the finals themselves, the showpiece events, the football on the pitch hasn't been that good. You can count on one hand the number of top finals we've seen. So yesterday, all right, it wasn't a vintage match, but at least we got a story. At least we saw an upset. At least we saw the side that were most successful in the competition in recent years were turned over. And it was a great story with the match winner as well, where he's come from, his story, all the clubs he's been rejected by.
Well, I'm going to be controversial on this one. I think you can look at a lot of your continental managers and we can blame them for the decline and the boring aspect that Premier League football in particular has got to, and Champions League football, which I think is very, very boring until it comes to knockout stages.
I'm going to throw it back to you. What do you think about United withdrawing from the FA Cup? Do you think that was
awful?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wasn't their fault, though, was it? Wasn't their fault? I think the FA insisted, made them play that competition in Brazil.
It made them play this world competition time. But it's scandalous, absolutely scandalous.
Brian Clough said, I hope Brazil...
That was when everybody was predicting that was the end of the FA Cup. And they're still predicting those things. But I think it'll just get stronger and stronger.
I hope so.
And there are more... Also, most years, yesterday notwithstanding, most years it's won by one of the top 4 or 6 clubs, isn't it? But, as I say, brilliant story yesterday. And we've got some words, I think, from Oliver Glasner, the Crystal Palace head coach.
I think today it was our day. It was the Crystal Palace day. It was the day for our fans, and it just had to happen that we win. And it's, in the end, I think there was no clear chance in the extra time. And credit to the players, how hard they worked today to get this clean sheet. Great goalkeeper, great mentality, and fantastic win.
There's so many stories: the goal scorer, the goalkeeper, the manager.
He grew up near the German border. He said they never had any British TV growing up, so he didn't really know what the FA Cup was until he entered kind of professional football.
You know, this is what I think dilutes it. We were saying about when we were kids, the magic of the FA Cup. We've got so many foreign players now, so many foreign managers. It's like, well, they don't understand what it means to people in this country.
Also, I think when I was a kid as well, we hadn't reached the point of saturation of TV coverage. So the FA Cup final was some of the only live football that we'd see. Even in the last year of the old ITV contract in 91-92, it was only 18 live matches a season.
Yeah.
So the FA Cup was still a bit of a showpiece. And my mum would watch. She wasn't interested in football. My dad wasn't interested in football, but they'd still watch. Just because it might throw up a story.
It was an event. It was the big event.
Exactly. And the TV companies bought right into it, didn't they? Showing everything from 9 o'clock. We had the Coventry City captain, Brian Kilcline. He was a guest he was a witness at a wedding on the morning of the...
but you used to have all these special question of sport, FA Cup final specials. And
do you remember the snooker match?
It's a knockout.
Yes, the snooker match between Willie Thorne and Gary Lineker. No, Gary Lineker and Mark Lawrenson.
Gary Lineker's some player.
Yeah, he is.
On the snooker table, it's very, very good. Listen, I want to talk about golf as well, because it's the USPGA as well. Big things expected of Rory McIlroy, that he would, walk up with his second major and whatever. Not to be. What way is that looking?
Well, look, he's 49th at the moment. He shot 72, which was a bit disappointing, you'd have to say. Now, we spoke for years, didn't we, for 11 years about, when's this next major coming? So what's the next story? Well, it has to be, can he back it up with a second one? Look, each course is different. It presents completely different challenges. This doesn't mean to me that Rory McIlroy is kind of sailing off into the sunset. This is the world number 1, Scotty Scheffler, who's going to win this tournament. And yesterday was moving day. What we know is moving day, that is, we find out, we separate the wheat from the chaff, and that's why the world number 1 is at number 1 today.
OK.
Come back and see us again.
Because you're going to talk about ladies' football, aren't you?
Yes,
Women's FA Cup today.
Man United versus Chelsea.
Yeah, more of that to come. For those of you nagging us, we are covering it as well. But still to come, Alex Dyke and Emma Wolf are going through the papers. We have some here. There they are. Give us a wave. Be a bit more animated, for God's sake. But first, if you are in search of some holiday sun, and who isn't, here's a forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. Well, looking further afield, there's plenty of sunny spells across Europe, but also some thunderstorms are breaking out with an area of low pressure. So across parts of Madeira, the Canary Islands, dry, fine, sunny spells. But we do have this area of low pressure, and across parts of Spain, northern Portugal, there will be some heavy and intense downpours, similar across parts of northeastern Europe as well. And that theme continues with sunny spells, but some showers too that could be heavy.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views, Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
John, you are an extraordinary man. You are 100 years and 6 months.
Correct, yeah.
How do you do it? You look fantastic.
Just not overdoing it with living and that. No, not going out and getting drunk and all that. What can I say? Just lived a normal life.
Yeah. Now, you joined the Navy in 1943. You were a very young man.
Yeah. I was just turned 18.
How nervous were you? Were you very nervous?
No, I wanted to go.
To fight for king and country?
Yeah.
And, of course, one day, your own ship was hit by a flying bomb.
Yeah. Apparently what happened there on the second day of landings at Anzio, and this was on the evening, because what we used to have to do was what they called dusk and dawn action stations, which is the worst time for visibility. And this particular night, 23rd of January, I'll never forget it. We never even heard them. Must have been that high up. And they had either glider bombs or torpedoes on. So whether it was a bomb or a torpedo that hit us, but all I was on the stern of the ship, what they called the X-gun. And when I looked round, there was a terrific bang. And when I looked round, the front half of the ship was gone.
Gosh.
GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Alex Dyke and Emma Wolfe, they've got the papers in front of them today and the stories that are catching their eye. Online, Alex, a thing about dog food, and the thing about dog food is that, and pet owners in general, will pay extra money. They'll pay a lot of money to treat their pets correct, to make sure the pets are getting the best stuff.
They certainly will. There's 36 million pet owners in Britain. So it's a huge, huge market. So the government have come up with an idea, OK? They're going to cut the price of pet food. And this is after the disastrous local election results earlier this month. They think this is a vote winner for the future. So this is the same people who they've said, you can't have your winter fuel allowance, but you can have some money off your Tinner Chappie or your Pedigree Chum or your Whiskers or whatever.
What do they expect pensioners to eat it instead?
Well, and do you know what? Some of them have. There have been stories in the papers about penniless pensioners eating pet food in the past.
As meat, they eat something in a can, dog food, that is cheaper than buying some meat.
And you think
that is
someone
scandalous.
You think someone in the Labour Party in their team would have said, actually, pensioners have done this. This might not be a good move. Let's make a savings on something else.
Absolutely staggering. I mean, you know, when the Labour Party said, we are listening, we've heard what you have said in the elections, did anyone actually mention the price of pet food?
Pets are amazing. I don't have pets. I have a very good friend who has cats, and honestly, she spent, I think, nearly £1,000 on the teeth, on really bad teeth problems for them. But vet fees are staggering, aren't they? If you're a non-pet person.
I had a vet bill for £18,000.
£18,000.
What have you got?
And that's on an animal. You would spend that on an animal.
£18,000. So people pay and will remortgage their house for their pets because
like children.
Because they're like your children and you love them so much.
They're just family. There's a time I would have laughed at that. And then I adopted a dog and, like you, scans, X-rays, whatever. And people wouldn't believe. So I don't know, say an X-ray for you costs £500. For your dog, it'll cost £5,000. And people pay it because they feel more vulnerable and the pet can't speak to them and they will do whatever it takes.
And often you're only kind of prolonging life a bit, aren't you? Often they're poorly, but you don't want them to suffer.
Well, this particular dog lived another 5 years.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
But you know, you've got to take out... Most of us have to take out a loan or put it on the mortgage.
Yeah, do. Private schools, Emma, let's... the situation there, the government have put a VAT on fees in January, and it is having an effect on those private children.
It really is. And, well, no, not just private schools, also state schools. It's having a knock-on effect.
How does it have effect on state schools?
Because you have a lot of private school children who now need to move to state schools and there isn't provision in their area. You have the government also paying to bus people, to taxi people, to children, for an hour one way to find them a school. You know, often people are in private school education not just because their parents are wealthy or because their parents want private school education, because they have specific needs that haven't been met elsewhere or can't be met in the local area. So where there are not a lot of schools. Anyway, this was this horrible punitive policy imposed by Bridget Phillipson and the Labour government, which came into effect in January, 20% extra on VAT. They said it'll affect around 3,000 maximum. Already, since the highest number since records began, already 13,000 pupils have left. And this is only in January, and I personally know families who are waiting. They're letting their kids do the rest of the year.
Me too.
But they cannot carry on after that.
Me too.
So it's 13,000 now. This is the knock-on effect of this, the full damage inflicted on the education system by this stupid policy, this nasty class warfare, punitive policy by Bridget Phillipson is yet to be seen.
Well, it's going to...
And that's 13,000 kids. I don't care what you say about their parents, they're wealthy.
But
that is
not.
children.
No, they're not.
Most of the private educated children, the parents I know, are breaking their backs to get their kids into a private school because they're not happy with the state system. Now those children are going to go and flood the state system. I know one school in the south, I won't name them, but a friend of mine's a teacher there, and they are downsizing and selling some of their buildings because so many parents have had to leave the school. And they're broken-hearted, and those kids have made friends.
And those are children. That's what that's what I come back to. You can say what you like about, you know, well, people shouldn't be paying for this. Well, I don't criticise people for buying new cars. You know, I mean, you bought a new car, you spent that on a foreign holiday.
Sure.
You spend your money on what you want to, and if you prioritise education, you should be able to.
Yeah.
Secondly, this is putting it out of reach for many, many parents.
Right, we've a minute and a half left.
Yeah, well, while we're on the subject of schools, now woke schools teaching pupils that Stonehenge was built by black people, Alex.
Yes, so children are being taught that Stonehenge, this is a story in Mail Online today, Stonehenge was built by black people and the Roman Emperor Nero married a trans woman. These are the stories that are being... And they're also being told in pro-transgender lessons that slaves had their body parts altered and it was a form of gender transition. I mean, you couldn't make it up. Just when you think things have gone absolutely crazy and we've hit the buffers, you get another story.
Well, I thought the tide was turning on the gender ideology nonsense. After the High Court ruling, we thought we were going to get back to some kind of sanity where we could actually say to kids, woman is a woman and a man is a man. You can dress up however you like, you can live your life however you like, but a woman is a woman and a man is a man. And now we get this kind of nonsense. And it's actually not funny because it's being fed to our children.
I know.
It's just, honestly, it's confusing for adults. Imagine what it's doing to kids' heads, honestly.
Guys, thank you very much indeed. We'll see you again in 40 minutes' time. Appreciate that. Please do stay with us. We're going to have a look at the weather picture today. Hopefully it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
We say hello, good morning and welcome to Catherine Chalk.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a bit of a slow start out there. We've got quite a lot of low cloud, but once that lifts and break, we'll see plenty of warm sunshine. So there's a lot of low cloud across northeastern areas at the moment, across eastern parts of the Midlands and towards the southeast. But once the sun gets going, that will lift and break to reveal plenty of warm sunshine. It may just linger for a time across those North Sea coasts, but elsewhere, fine, dry, plenty of warm sunshine, highs of up to 21, possibly 22 or 23 degrees. But where you've got this onshore flow across northern parts of Scotland and down that east coast, always on the cooler side here. So as we go through Sunday evening, it's going to be a bit of a rinse and repeat. We'll see further spells of low cloud just hugging some eastern coast, but out towards the west of Scotland, plenty of fine, dry weather. But there will be a few showers just developing across the far southwest of Scotland. Elsewhere, largely fine and dry. So as we go through Sunday evening and overnight into Monday, well, the return of low cloud does come in to much of eastern areas of England, always staying with the clearer skies further towards the west, where we may see some mist and fog patches developing. And where we see the clearer skies, that's where temperatures will fall. So we'll see a chilly start to Monday morning, but a cool start further towards the east underneath the blanket of low cloud. Then there's a bit of a change as we go through Monday. That low cloud will gradually lift and break. But actually, as we go through the afternoon, there will be a bit more cloud developing, especially across northern parts of England, and some showers will bubble up. Some of these could be on the heavy side, but the detail exactly where they are is still uncertain at this stage, but it will still be feeling warm in that sunshine, but cooler across eastern areas in the cloud.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
What does it feel like to be a Great British Giveaway winner?
That's a big surprise.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
That is absolutely fantastic.
We're over the moon.
Yes, that is fantastic.
You know, you have no idea how much I needed it. Oh my goodness.
That's wonderful. Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I was gobsmacked. Thank you, GB News.
I'd say don't hesitate, do it. If you're not in it, you've got no chance of winning it. Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
You really could be our next big winner. Head over to gbnews.com/win now to find out how and get your entry for the Great British Giveaway. Great prizes, even greater wins.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Hello there, very good morning to you. The government is ramping up final preparations a day before the first ever EU summit.
But whispers of a youth mobility movement and increased access to British fishing waters has critics raising their eyebrows.
Now, rumours the EU is trying to squeeze more out of last-minute negotiations. So, could this be the beginning or the end of Brexit?
Kingdom. From the public, you get 0 points.
And was it, this isn't even a question, was it the most political Eurovision ever? We're awarded 0 points as Austria pips Israel in the 11th hour to take home their third win.
Yes, Remember Monday may want to forget last night's Eurovision as the UK finished in 19th place with 0 points from the public. I'll have all the latest from Basel later in the show.
In an hour from now, Pope Leo's first official inauguration mass will take place. We'll bring you the pictures live from the Vatican at 9 a.m.
And that's as a second man is arrested over an arson attack on the Prime Minister's home. Many are demanding our frontline politicians are better protected.
Is it time to build super max prisons? More violence than ever before on prison officers has many people calling for Britain to build its own Alcatraz to prevent 10,000 attacks per year.
Good morning. A triumph for amazing spirit and togetherness. Those are the words of Crystal Palace boss Oliver Glasner as his side ended a 164-year wait for a major trophy by winning the FA Cup against Manchester City at Wembley. We'll have reaction later this hour.
I'm not sure many Crystal Palace fans are going to be feeling glad all over this morning as they get over those hangovers. But what an upset in the FA Cup yesterday as Palace won their first major trophy.
Hello. Well, we have got quite a lot of low cloud out there this morning, but that should lift and break to reveal a good deal of sunshine. I'll have all the details coming up shortly.
2 minutes past 8. Nice to have you on board. Whoever you're watching, however you're listening. I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Dawn Neeson, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Now, it was interesting to see us outside there with cameras outside Crystal Palace. It's not sure where to go the morning after the night before.
Well, most people, I should imagine, are probably fast asleep in bed still, sleeping off the hangovers. Although I did hear from a friend of mine that some of the pubs might have stayed open a bit later and are maybe still going this morning.
Around Sellers Park, I can assure you.
And the thing is, we do it all again today because today is the Women's FA Cup final.
Indeed, yeah, we have. It's 1:30 at Wembley. Manchester United hoping to retain it under Mark Skinner. Chelsea going for a domestic treble. They came up short in the Champions League game, and if I'm honest with you, but they still have a chance of completing 3 domestic trophies, which will be huge for them.
Good lad.
I think lots of people are interested in that, and I think it's good that the women's game is growing.
Yes,
and it is.
Well, attendances are down, unfortunately.
But more and more girls are playing.
Yes, that's true. Participation is better.
Yeah, when I was at school, you were only allowed to play hockey, which I absolutely hated. I mean, who invented hockey? It was just mean.
Would you have played football?
Yeah, I'd love to play football. Yeah, really.
Did you play
We
football?
weren't allowed to.
Yeah. And I remember being 15 or 16, and there was a couple of girls who wanted to play, you know, our kickabouts that we would have. And you thought, this is very odd, them wanting to do this and whatever. And they were very capable.
Yeah.
It had to be said. And just wasn't taken seriously in those days at all.
No, it wasn't.
But, yeah, until they kicked you in the shins.
Yeah, I mean, so we weren't allowed. I mean,
It's work with a hockey stick, isn't it?
hockey, you come armed with a stick, right? And the ball is blooming hard, so if it hits you anywhere, it's going to hurt. Football was just much more, I don't know, fun.
You should try playing Irish sports, hurley and camogie and whatever, you know, whatever. But anyway, joyous scenes there yesterday at Wembley. Great story for Crystal Palace, which Aidan will tell you in 20 minutes' time.
Yeah, OK. Now to our top story this hour. Worries of a betrayal of Brexit is being carved out by the government as trade negotiations enter their final stage ahead of the first ever UK-EU summit in London.
Well, the Prime Minister is claiming closer ties with the EU could be the answer to a stronger job market, improved border security and even cheaper bills. Let's see what we will make of all of that. As joining in the studio now is Charlie Rowley. Charlie, what do you think?
Well, I think tomorrow will be a defining moment of the Prime Minister's premiership, having gone through the rigmarole under the previous government of leaving the EU, chopping and changing its leader, Prime Minister, all over, the Tory party tearing itself apart, all over the EU and Brexit. We now seem to have a situation where we could be getting in through the back door. And I think what that means to people is that in certain areas, when it comes to, for example, the trading of goods and moving of foods back into the EU, something that you can't do at the minute, like chilled meats and sausages, that will be overseen by the EU courts. So, you know, we'll be giving up sovereignty on that front. But the Prime Minister wants to talk up that that's good for supermarkets, it's good for shoppers, and so there'll be positive things.
I'm just looking at reaction that is coming in all the time here. William says, no jobs. There'll be no jobs in all of this for British youth. What is so-called youth mobility? EU is just exporting their unemployment problems and we're soaking them up.
Yeah, and I think, look, you know, that will be questions that people ask. What is in it for the UK? What is in it for young people in the UK? So with the EU Youth Mobility Scheme, it's about making sure that people in the UK can go and study abroad in Europe if they want to. But I think there's far more larger numbers of people from Europe that want to study in UK universities, such as like the Russell Group universities that are quite renowned, including Ursula von der Leyen, the EU Commissioner President, has a kid sort of in the UK university sector. So and part of that deal is cutting fees. So cutting the international fees that EU students would currently have to pay in UK universities, bringing those fees down to what UK students would pay. So the university sector will lose out, even if it is attracting the bright and the best from the EU. But the question is then, well, where does that leave UK students? What's in it for the UK?
Where does it leave farmers? Where does it leave fishermen? I thought one of the aspects of Brexit was to protect our fishing waters and what we can take from the sea. Who's going to be looking after the fishermen's interests?
Well, you're absolutely right, and I think this is an area where it seems nobody, or it's been abandoned, because as part of the deal, and I would never have thought that this should be a negotiating tactic, but to have EU fishery trawlers in UK waters, something that they've wanted for a long time.
Sorry, Charlie, I'm just going to interrupt you. We've got live shots of the Pope in Rome arriving today for his inauguration ceremony, which is happening at 9 o'clock our time. You can see him. Gosh, the St. Peter's Square absolutely packed there, as you can see, the Pope in his white Popemobile, in his robes. Yeah, that is all happening live. We'll be bringing you full coverage from 9 o'clock this morning. Going to be quite exciting.
Yeah, well, you mean you can hear the noise, the atmosphere and the goodwill that there is behind this. You know, much more able, youthful looking Pope. He looks like Pope Paul VI, I often think. I look at him and I think he reminds me of that guy who was there in the mid-60s.
Yeah, he does. And he also looks, actually, I have to say, very happy. You know, the first thing you noticed when he was announced, you walk out onto the balcony, and he actually genuinely looked really, really joyful. And it was just nice to see someone so smiling and a sense of positivity, I think. You know, whether you're of a faith or not, it was just like, it felt like a positive moment.
Well, Pope Leo is an incredibly charitable man. He's given away any wealth he or anyone related to him has had, that his diocese has had. He sold his the papal, not the papal house it was in the bishop's house, and he sold that to house homeless people. He got 120 separate housing units by selling the bishop's house in Chicago. I think it was that he was there, and he certainly practices what he preaches. He does a lot of work for charity, and not that I think a lot of people know that or that that's part of it, but it would have been part of what the cardinals voted for, I suppose, overall, to determine the sort of saintly acts that the man does.
And this today marks the official start of his duties, and on May the 25th they will take the possession of St John Lateran Basilica, the Cathedral of the Bishop of Rome. So the Mass today is celebrated, established the Order of Rights at the beginning of the ministry as Bishop of Rome.
Gosh, I wonder how many people are there. That is a lot of people gathered there today.
Yeah.
And the weather, the sun is shining on them.
It really does look lovely, and there's so many people there. This is, if you're listening on the radio, it's the Pope in his white robes, in the Pope-mobile, as we now call it, being driven through an absolutely packed St Peter's Square there for you. Lots of people are waving, and the Pope waving back. Absolutely, flags from all over the world there as well. Actually, just scenes of absolute joy. And when we're talking, Amen, about so many depressing things going on in the world at the moment, it is nice, especially on a Sunday morning, to have something positive to actually look at and talk about.
One of the main features of the Mass today will be the Gospel will be in ancient Greek and Latin, because the successor of Peter, the first Pope, is the Pope of Eastern Catholics and Latin Catholics as well. So it's, I suppose you've got to be so knowledgeable in so many ways to be something like a...
And he's American as well, isn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
That's what we keep forgetting. I mean, it's, you know, he grew up, I think, with Chicago, wasn't it?
Chicago, yeah.
So he's got that American background. So it's really, it's a global thing. Everybody from around the world. And he's also got two brothers at home who have been, I think it's the first time in history where the Pope's family are actually talking to the media about what they, you know, what their childhood was like. And in a way you think, well, it's the Pope, you shouldn't. But obviously it's actually quite fascinating because it makes him very human.
Very human. It's very grounding, actually. It's just so interesting to see. It's interesting to see how he's being toured around there in that Pope-mobile, because certainly after John Paul II, the popes would be often behind bulletproof glass and the attack that happened on him. But there he is, he's quite open, which must be very, very dangerous, because there's always someone ready to have a go. And but he doesn't seem to be perturbed by that.
And such a humble, like the previous Pope, such a humble background as well. Worked as a missionary for many years, so is very, like the previous Pope, very understanding of what poverty can mean and how people are really suffering. So while, you know, you look at the pomp and the ceremony that we're seeing now, and the robes and the gold, and obviously, you know, the Basilica in Rome, you know, it's just absolutely glorious.
He has given away so much, and he said at one stage that no church, the roof of the church should not be higher than the roof of someone else's home. And as I say, that led to 120 homes for the homeless at that particular time. And there is, you know, when you look at the morality of homelessness, in this day and age in prosperous countries, the fact that there is homelessness is an absolute sin. It is a sin, and that is something for the Pope. I mean, we hear Prince William was to do a lot about this. I don't know how far he's got, but I applauded him for being involved in that, and anything that anybody in authority can do and lead the way and show an example from that, the better. What do you think of this man, Charlie?
Well, I think everything you said is absolutely right, and it is, you know, a damning indictment, I think, in this day and age, as you say. You know, when COVID came, obviously a terrible atrocity, there was a programme to get everybody in off the streets, which seemed to work for a few years, but after that, nobody seems to have been able to solve the problem. With so much money in the world, you would have thought that, you know, you'd be able to stop things like homelessness, like sort of you know, sins that you see across the country, whether it's alcohol or drug addiction or things that people fall into these traps. But having someone who is such a public figure, such a welcoming figure, obviously, and I think having maybe that American disposition of, you know, being optimistic and upbeat. I know Americans don't always get the best reputation, but he seems to embody what is, you know, the American dream in a sense of being hopeful, being optimistic, being clearly, obviously.
I think that's such an important point because, you know, his messages aren't always about religion. They are about positivity and about what we all as ordinary human beings can do, and certainly the message of kindness.
Yeah.
And, you know, whatever faith you are, or even, as I say, of no faith, it's the message of kindness and caring about your fellow human beings. And I think that is a message we forget so easily today. It's very, very easy, especially with social media, to bash up a nasty message about someone or say something horrible. And if we just stopped and thought a little bit about what we were saying to other people, other human beings, you know, that's such an important message, I think. But an estimated 250,000 pilgrims are there today. And Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney will be in attendance, Volodymyr Zelensky will be there, US Vice President J.D. Vance will be in attendance, and we are sending Prince Edward to represent the royal family.
And Pope Leo will visit the St. Mary Major Basilica, where Pope Francis is actually buried as well today. So that'll be a nice touch.
Interesting you mentioned about security aiding, because other world leaders attending include the Israeli President, Isaac Herzog, and the Argentinian President as well. So obviously anywhere connected to Israel, we saw it with the Eurovision Song Contest last night, where two idiots tried to storm the stage as the Israel singer was performing. So anywhere there is any connection with Israel, there'll be such high security. And as you can see, glorious scenes, everybody happy, everybody celebrating, the Pope being driven around quite openly in that Pope-mobile. Obviously there are guards there, you can see, but it does seem to be so far quite a joyous occasion.
But you see, I think that travel and the Pope travelling around the world and seeing things, I was lucky enough to go and see the Pope John Paul II in Galway in Ireland when he visited, and that was in 1979. And it was just, it was incredible. So people forgot their troubles and they forgot their divisions, and you know, they turned up and they just felt blessed to be there. And I think that I would say to any pope, if you want to heal people, travel the world. You know, go to Israel, go to Ukraine, go to Russia, go to different places where people may just stop and think, maybe there's a better way, maybe there is another way.
I think that's absolutely right. And this could be a statement of intent, you know, being seen so publicly over the last couple of weeks since his inauguration, becoming the new pontiff, being seen by the public, going out there without the usual maybe security of what would be that Pope-mobile, you know, being accessible, being seen and wanting to get involved. It's a forward step. I think it's being proactive in meeting people who want to see him, people that have flocked obviously in their thousands, as you say, Dawn, to come out and be there today. Hopefully that's a starter as he needs to go on, not just in obviously Rome and around the Vatican, but internationally, to talk about the conflicts that we're facing, to talk about the divisions right across the world, where there are so many that we're talking about at the minute. He can be a real healer at a time when there is so much division and so much hate.
Again, you can't go far without mentioning politics, can you? I mean, J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the USA, obviously, who briefly met Pope Francis in the Vatican just before he died, will be at the ceremony today. And before being elected as Pope, evidently Pope Leo criticised Donald Trump's administration in several posts on an X account. I mean, the Pope being on Twitter is like a bit of a head one in any case, isn't it? But mainly targeting Trump's policies on immigration. The Vatican haven't confirmed or denied whether the social media posts were authentic, but it'll be very interesting to be a fly on the wall when Pope and Vance sit down and discuss where we are going, obviously with Ukraine, that situation, and so many other conflicts that are going on around the world. As I said, Pope Leo worked as a missionary in Africa, and obviously we often forget about the continent of Africa and how Christians are being persecuted in Africa. Those sort of stories don't make the news headlines as much as they really should do.
Church attendance is interesting as well. Here we are on Sunday, the Sabbath day, and I think a lot of people who won't be able to attend church, they will watch this inaugural Mass from Pope Leo today, and they'll feel very uplifted by that.
Yeah.
But I think also people are inspired to maybe go back to church again, and I think that is almost contagious.
You know, I wonder, I mean, please do let us know, gbnews.com/your say, as to whether you are in times of turmoil, which I think is fair to say that the world is in at the moment.
Definitely, yeah.
Whether you are rediscovering a faith or maybe considering a faith. I think, I find myself, Eamon, going to church. I'm not a regular goer, but just for the peace. And just for the calm, and just like we do our daily reflections on GB News as well. And one thing I really like about them is it just gives you a minute to sit back and to think about what is going on and just to reflect on maybe what more you could do. I mean, am I sounding ridiculously pious? But I just think if we all just thought a little bit more about what we could do to help other people rather than putting them down all the time. So are you considering, faith? I mean, church attendance in this country are on the up. We do know that more people are going to church.
I think one of the things people get out of church attendance is peace, calm, reflection, time for themselves, time to think about other people. Just that business of being in church surroundings and just having your own space as well. I think that would apply to a lot of people.
Yeah. And in particular, it's young men, Charlie, roping you in this as a young man. Young men more, statistically are discovering a faith more than even young women these days. Speaking for all young men, your community of young men, why do you think that is?
Well, I think that's right, and I think, look, there are always pressures on everybody, but I think there's, there have been, pressures on men traditionally in the past to maybe be the breadwinner to go out and, provide for a family. But I think that comes with, additional pressures such as, cost of living is so high, getting on the housing ladder is problematic for young people. Social media plays a part, and what kind of, whether it's masculinity or what kind of person you are. There are so many things that you can be influenced by. I think everything that you've just said is absolutely true. Having that time as a man in particular, maybe to just go and sit somewhere quietly, and even if you think, gosh, there are so many perils in the world, still that moment to say, what can I do? Or, just understanding that maybe people across the world may still be far worse off, and it's a bit of a reality check that actually I'm part of a community. I'm still want to give back to my country in some way, or just my local community. Reflect on some of the lessons that go back thousands of years. I think there's something, when you feel so lost, maybe in society, being able to reconnect to something and connect to faith and connect to a history to feel a sense of belonging and part of something. I think that's probably what it's about.
Absolutely. If you are listening on the radio, we have just seen the normal Pope thing of baby hugging, which is can you imagine? If you're a baby and it's like, because everything's on the mobile phone now, and it's like, and when you get older, and it's like, and here's you being kissed by the Pope when you were a baby, and it's like, wow, that's pretty special, isn't it? Talking of the Pope and social media, Pope Leo is going to be active on social media throughout the official papal accounts on X and Instagram. The Vatican have confirmed that. And on X, the platform owned by Elon Musk, obviously the billionaire asked by Trump to reduce government spending and jobs. So that'll be an interesting thing to see what the pontiff actually manages to tweet on that sort of thing. He actually communicates in 9 languages. to a total of 52 million followers. I mean, Charlie, you've got some followers, but 52 million followers. Wow.
Well, a very popular man. And
Obviously.
Understandably so. But he is clearly a unique individual, as you say, being able to speak in multiple languages, to be able to be as articulate and fluent as he was when he first appeared on the balcony after we saw the white smoke and the declaration of his papal beginning.
Yeah, it's interesting because in one of his first posts, and it's going to what we were saying about the positivity, in one of his first posts, Leo wrote, "The Holy See is willing to help enemies meet so they may look each other in the eye, so people may be given back the dignity they deserve, the dignity of peace. With heart in hand, I say to the leaders of nations, let us meet, let us dialogue, and let us negotiate." Very strong words and such a modern message on a modern media as well.
These are the preparations just ahead of the Mass for the inauguration of Pope Leo XIV's pontificate. And that's going to be celebrated 10 a.m. in Roman time. But that will be 9 a.m. our time, and live coverage here of the opening of that Mass, the celebration of that Mass, from 9 o'clock here on GB News. You're looking at Rome there, St. Peter's Square, and the whole occasion will mark the official beginning of Pope Leo's ministry, as, of course, they're all successors of Peter, and they're all bishops of Rome. He will take the canonical possession of St. John Lateran Basilica, the Cathedral of the Bishop of Rome. So the Mass will be celebrated as established in the order of rites of the beginning of the ministry as Bishop of Rome. So in addition, Pope Leo will receive the pallium and the fisherman's ring. These are two elements with profound theological and pastoral significance that mark the start of his pontificate.
Yeah, the gold signet fisherman's ring. It's amazing. The Pope is on X, on Twitter, on Instagram, OK, but the rites that they are celebrating, and we were bringing you full coverage today, are so ancient. Here we've received the gold signet fisherman's ring, which is named
Look at that backdrop. Look at that backdrop.
Oh, that is so
amazing?
Wonderful, isn't it? I mean, it's incredible. Inspiring. At St. Peter's Basilica there, across the square, with I think, about 250,000 people gathering there. Prince Edward.
I was there about 3 months ago. So it was in Rome. I mean, there are beautiful cities in the world, but it's hard to beat Rome. Rome is have you ever been, Charlie?
I've never been, but it's on my list and very near the top. So I
definitely. And you see things like the Colosseum and how open it is, and how it mixes in with the modernity of the city as well, and it's all there. It's a bit like Cairo, where the pyramids just strut out of the ground suddenly, you know. There are hotels, there are cafes, whatever, and then there are the pyramids.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also a big fan of Italian food, and I heard earlier on about spaghetti being good for the soul, or pasta being good for the soul, so maybe a little trip is in order.
Yeah, well, they do pretty nice pasta. But what's incredible about Rome, obviously the Vatican City is a separate element of it. And Rome can be very overwhelming. It's a very busy city. But you walk into Vatican City and it is a sense of peace. I mean, there's still obviously crowds of tourists going through the Sistine Chapel, etc., but it's still very, very peaceful.
OK. Well, look, we'll leave you with those scenes. We'll be back there live, crossing live, again for the start of that inaugural Mass at 9 o'clock this morning. We'll be back right after the weather update.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. There's a bit of a slow start out there. We've got quite a lot of low cloud, but once that lifts and break, we'll see plenty of warm sunshine. So there's a lot of low cloud across northeastern areas at the moment, across eastern parts of the Midlands and towards the southeast. But once the sun gets going, that will lift and break to reveal plenty of warm sunshine. It may just linger for a time across those North Sea coasts, but elsewhere, fine, dry, plenty of warm sunshine, highs of up to 21, possibly 22 or 23 degrees. But where you've got this onshore flow across northern parts of Scotland and down that east coast, always on the cooler side here. So as we go through Sunday evening, it's going to be a bit of a rinse and repeat. We'll see further spells of low cloud just hugging some eastern coast, but out towards the west of Scotland, plenty of fine, dry weather. But there will be a few showers just developing across the far southwest of Scotland. Elsewhere, largely fine and dry. So as we go through Sunday evening and overnight into Monday, well, the return of low cloud does come in to much of eastern areas of England, always staying with the clearest skies further towards the west, where we may see some mist and fog patches developing. And where we see the clearest skies, that's where temperatures will fall. So we'll see a chilly start to Monday morning, but a cool start further towards the east underneath the blanket of low cloud. Then there's a bit of a change as we go through Monday. That low cloud will gradually lift and break. But actually, as we go through the afternoon, there will be a bit more cloud developing, especially across northern parts of England, and some showers will bubble up. Some of these could be on the heavy side, but the detail exactly where they are is still uncertain at this stage, but it'll still be feeling warm in that sunshine, but cooler across eastern areas in the cloud.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
What a busy morning, and I hope we're in a studio actually we can't see outside and see what Catherine's forecast is there, but if it's anything like yesterday was such a beautiful day.
It was lovely, and I just know, you know, the Great British weather, you just know you get a couple of nice days and then it's going to get cold, and it's going to have thunderstorms.
Well, look, make the most of it. It's nice to have it, and we're going to be out and about and reflecting what the weather's like. I mean, because we're going to be out at Crystal Palace today. Yes. We're going to be reflecting on Eurovision as well, and we're taking live reports from around the country on various things. So hopefully we'll see what that weather is.
And obviously we're going to Rome to cover the Pope's inauguration as well, which would be absolutely rather lovely and peaceful and perfect for a Sunday morning. However, we're also going to be very nice and give away a marvellous camper van.
Now, this is great. This camper van, it's a wonderful thing. We sit and talk. Would you like a camper van? Would you not? Well, if you won one, you wouldn't say no, would you?
No, I've decided I would actually like one now. And this one's even better. You get $5,000 to go with it.
$5,000 for petrol. OK, 67 grand. The vehicle is worth $5,000 for petrol. Here's how it could be yours.
Someone is going to win the biggest prize package to date, and that someone could be you, driving away in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. It has plenty of room for your family of four, comes complete with kitchen, bathroom and all the space you'll need for life on the road. And the best news? You can drive it on your existing driving licence. Plus, we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Don't delay. You can't win if you're not in the draw. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Eurovision last night, and you know whether you like it. Well, I personally
69th.
I couldn't care.
Oh my
less.
Lord!
Couldn't care. Less.
No.
I can't
enthusiasm, Eamon.
No, it's had its time. It's been its gone, or it's a different era from what I'm not interested.
Ireland have done very well.
Ireland always do very well.
So you should love it.
That's a whole other story. We're out of political in the way the UK, would they ever win it again? I don't think so.
No, nobody likes us. We are the Millwall
and that's what gets me, the Eurovision, the politics of it all. But anyway, it was the 69th running off it all last night. And remember, Monday was the UK entry. The great thing being from Ireland is, well, being from Northern Ireland, is you've got two goals. You've got the UK, you can cheer UK, or you can cheer the Irish entry. So it's great. You have two riders in the race, so you have.
Oh, we came 19th.
19th,
okay. Out of what, 26?
Okay. Let's have a bit of a flavour.
The hell does
can sing. I always thought that's what it was about. They look good.
Well, there you go. What is it about? Aritse Williams. Aritse's a great lad. He's one of the founders of JLS. He's now a solo artist. He goes off touring. He does this, he does that. Aritse, my friend, very good to see you.
Hey, great to see you guys. How are you? Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Tell me this, did you watch it last night?
Yeah, unfortunately, I was, waiting with bated breath, and once again, it didn't happen for us. I mean, the girls were amazing, though.
Yeah.
So Austria obviously won. They beat Israel, at the desert. It was very close. It was one of the closest competitions we've had for a long time. Do you think Austria deserved to win?
I mean, listen, anybody can win, and who knows why people win and why they don't win. I mean, my personal opinion is that we need to bring back our savior, Sam Ryder. I think Sam, for us, is going to be the answer. We need to bring him back. The girls did amazing. I think they were fantastic, but I think you need a talent that's so undeniable that it would be silly to not give us any points ever again. And Sam was that. He got us to number 2, remember? We were second with Sam. So bring Sam Ryder back, in my view, to save us all, because this can't keep on going on. This is ridiculous.
Orisha, don't you think that we could actually put, I don't know, I mean, Adele or literally anyone up? And the political situation at the moment means that, we are Millwall. No one likes us. They're not going to vote for us, no matter who we put up.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very difficult situation. The political landscape is very uneasy. I mean, what can we do? I mean, these artists that get chosen to perform, I don't think they're so much focused on anything else other than trying to do their best for the country and trying to give the best performance they can. And it's hard, to have all that pressure. Myself as a performer, as an entertainer, as an artist, I know the pressures that come with it. So to have the pressure of having to perform, but also have the country on your back and also feel like everybody's against you, and are you going to be able to change the narrative this year? It's a lot of pressure, a lot of unfair pressure. But what I loved is that we represented girl power this year. Honestly, that for me was amazing. And, the girls did us proud no matter what, because like I said, it's very hard to do.
But Aritse, there's got to be a science to all of this, a formula that we've got to crack, that we've got to realise, or is it just, forlorn? Is it gone? Is it beyond the UK's reach from here on in? Or is there a system that you think we have to put in, whether it is using Adele, whether it, I don't know what it is, but what would you say the success answer should be?
Well, I mean, Adele would be the success. If we can have Adele step forward, then of course, if we don't get number 1 with Adele, then I don't know what to do. I'm sorry, I don't know what to do. But yes, I think if we maybe had an Adele, if we had an Ed Sheeran, if we had somebody that, like that, I think we would be in good hands. But I mean, who wants to put themselves at that risk?
Orisha, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. Would you put yourself through that? Would
Absolutely.
you enter?
I would enter, yeah, I would, because you know what it is for me as well. Like, okay, so I remember seeing Justin Timberlake do his big Eurovision performance many years ago, and he wasn't part of the competition, but he was a guest performer, and it gave me an idea of what I would do if I was going to be nominated to step forward and represent the UK. It gave me a very good idea. I mean, he did an all-round entertaining performance, live band, dancing, singing to perfection. The suit, everything looked crisp. It was beautiful. I would put myself, but I'm somebody that takes risks, though. You see, I'm just that guy. And as a performer, obviously, it's you have to take risks. You have to take. Unfortunately, if you think about all of the great artists from the past, they weren't like, they did the unusual thing, which was they did something that nobody else, would probably be brave enough to do, which is stand in front of thousands of people and say, you know what, I've got something, I've got a talent, and I want to show you, and hopefully you're going to receive it and accept it and love it, and and all those different things. So being an artist is being a risk taker, naturally.
Do you think now, obviously, you know, it can make or break a career as well. So what do you think is going to happen to Remember Monday, our girls now? Do you think they'll go on to greater things?
Do you know what it is, yeah? I feel like we live in a different time than, say, a decade ago, whereby, yes, if you lost at the Eurovision, and it almost like it was a bad mark, it was over, it was, you know, you're finished, you couldn't go any. But then you look at someone like, I don't know, Ollie, who did Eurovision. He's still going to go on to have a music career because the talent's, you know, there. I just think people understand what it is now. And I think for Remember Monday, I just want to say to the girls, like, keep your heads up. You're absolutely phenomenal. There's more than one way to have a music career in this current climate. And if, for example, you have a viral record on TikTok, or you have a moment, no one can take that away from you. I've been blessed enough to have a recent viral moment with one of my solo records, Sober, that's done over 8 million hits on TikTok. And you know, it's incredible because I'm now in that space of, oh wow, like I can do this now and I can do that now, and it's opening my eyes to all the opportunities that are out there.
Well, good luck to you, mate.
Thank you so much, guys.
Not at all. Always lovely talking to you, and have a a good Sunday, whatever you're up to.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Look at that. That's
Yeah.
Feel good?
No, I think we should have him up there next year, don't you?
We're going to say this to Alex Dyke and Emma Wolfe. They're going to be talking about what's making the news in the papers, and of course looking ahead to what the Pope will be doing from 9 o'clock today. That'll be 10 o'clock European time, but 9 o'clock he will be performing or celebrating his inaugural Mass. Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Okay.
Live pictures from St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, and Pope Leo has been touring about amongst the thousands, tens of thousands of people who have gathered there, and this is in preparation for his inaugural Mass. That's going to happen in just over 15 minutes' time, and we will be there live for you. In the meantime, Alex Dyke and Emma Wolfe are here in the studio to talk about various things that are making the newspaper, and Charlie Rowley will be back talking about what the Pope is up to today as well. So let's have a look, and Emma, we're going to talk about a story first of all about prisoners, and the Justice Secretary has been having her say.
Yes, she has. Well, guess what? Prisons are apparently 99% full again. So every few months, the last one was in November, every few months we seem to have this panic when we realise...
Because we don't have enough of them. We don't have enough.
We realise that people are being put in prison. They're not being, you know, they're being... Or some of them are being let out onto the streets. We had some rather fruity pictures of freed lags celebrating. Do you remember that a few months ago? Covered in tattoos, got the spaces. Dancing in the streets. These people who were not a threat to the public, i.e. people who've been convicted of domestic abuse, people who've been convicted of sex offences, you know, people who are actually quite frightening to their victims, who are being released early. So Shabana Mahmood has had a sort of emergency summit at Downing Street last week, and now she's announcing this idea about a sort of Texas-style reform, whereby if you behave well, they incentivise you and you get let out early. If you engage in rehabilitation and education and employment and all of that in prison, surely this should have been the way... I mean, we should have been looking at this years ago.
Texas also still had the death penalty.
Exactly. I mean, it's a completely different system, but guess what? Labour have decided, they've said...
Well, instead of just telling the truth, they've got enough spaces. They've got the money to
Need to build some more prisons.
And then they talk tough things like the summer riots last year, and we're going to throw you all in prison, and they realise they haven't got any room for anybody there. The whole thing's a blooming mess.
Absolute mess.
I've got an idea.
And
why don't they let out the diamond smugglers and the embezzlers,
the Facebook people,
the bigamists, people who aren't an actual... they should be punished, they should be fined, but they're not a danger to society.
But society has this say that there's certain things that are completely taboo. You know, like crimes, I don't know, there's all sorts of things. Fraud, money, finance. Finance, to fiddle money is deemed to be the most awful thing you could ever possibly do. And you're quite right. Who's it harming? Who, you know, whatever.
Well, there are victims to it, Eamon, but you could have those. You could get those guys out, and you could have them working for the government to pay off.
But all prisoners should be working.
All
really.
prisoners
should be building the new prisons.
Yes.
There's so much.
Cleaning the streets, getting graffiti off the walls.
They have chain gangs. They have people working on the roads.
So what do we have? Human rights.
We have people sitting in prison, doing nothing, having drugs smuggled in, having mobile phones smuggled in,
drones,
and having sexual relationships with prison guards.
Yes.
What?
Yes,
that's the latest thing. That's the thing that's on the rise, male and female.
The result of this will be, I fear, they will behave better in prison to get time knocked off their tariff. But when they get out on the street, will they be behaving
it's
better?
learning the lesson. And just in case you are just joining us, by the way, the pictures you are seeing on your screen are from the Pope's inauguration in St. Peter's Square, just about to start. I believe it starts around about 9 o'clock our time, so that they are live.
About 50 minutes away.
Yeah, live scenes from St. Peter's Square there.
Have you ever been in prison? I mean that, just visited a prison or seen a prison. Have you ever been inside a prison? Isn't it a scary place?
Yes.
They are scary places.
That would be my view. That you go there. Have you ever been, Charlie?
I've not been to prison. No,
you would remember. You know, if you visited or you had to attend or whatever it is, you would say to yourself, "This is the sort of place I do not want to be."
I mean, I've seen a mock cell. I haven't actually been to an actual working prison. But you're right. The idea that it's a free ride or an easy ride. It's not. It is supposed to be a deterrent. It's supposed to be a punishment as well. But I think that's the whole discussion you're having, is about what is the right punishment sometimes for people who, you know, if you are at risk to the public, you should be behind bars. It goes back to that whole saying. But if you're doing, you know, if you've committed fraud, it is probably equally as humiliating to be going to sort of, you know, clean the streets or to do things that are community service punishments rather than just being...
Let's go from bad things to good things. Do you see the pictures we're seeing here? Do you think that no matter what your religion is, that makes you feel better, or people may say, I think I'll be a better person, or I'll try to be good, or whatever. Do you think there's any effect, any use for all of this in today's age?
Yes, I do. They're saying that the Pope is the Holy Father, of course, to the Catholic religion, but he's a powerful voice for the rest of the world. So I say yes.
I think it's incredibly uplifting. I'm just seeing this at the moment, and we're in such a fractured world, and we've all said it, haven't we? But I think this is one positive, beautiful news. You know, I mean, Pope Francis was old. He died, you know, of natural causes. It's not as though we are... Pope Leo is welcomed, isn't he? He's absolutely welcomed. I think it's a nice kind of healing bond between Italy and America, in a way. And I think this is kind of a good news story and very, very uplifting for all Catholics, but everybody around the world.
I mean, I just want to bring in, just some messages, lots of messages coming in about this, and this is our, I think actually JD Vance has just arrived, by the way, but I just want to bring a message from one of our viewers, Grumpy Grandad, a regular viewer, and he makes, I think, a good point. Do you think people are turning to churches as a last resort? They've given up on governments to sort things out. Maybe they think a higher power can help them. People do turn to God in times of trouble. And I think a lot of people will actually, that will echo with a lot of people.
I think we need to be led. And you need to be led by somebody who you think, whether they're political or whether they're spiritual or whatever, that is a better person or a stronger person than you.
Some kind of an example that they're setting, or a strong, even just a strong message, like Trump.
Yeah.
People feel there's something they can follow. And also, I think we've got this vacuum. I mean, Charlie was mentioning earlier about social media and this kind of vacuum that a lot of people feel. They've got really no purpose. They, you know, spend hours or days or weeks just kind of doom scrolling on their phones. That's not really a way to live. And so I think, in general, people are looking for something more and something spiritual, whether that is religious or not, but just something, or even coming together, because lots of these alpha groups, people meet their partners. I mean, they're... By all accounts, they're quite social. I've thought, well, it sounds better than dating, you know, online dating.
Oh, well,
pretty soulless.
Talking about dating, I remember 1978-79 when Pope John Paul II visited Ireland, and all people of my age, which were 18. So all got together, piled into cars and buses and all sorts of things. And it was an amazing social event as well. And it's something that you're going to remember at that stage in your life. And there was a lot of romance that went on in those days as well.
And churches as well. I mean, for families with a young one, when you go to church, you really feel part of that family. They don't quiz you about your religious beliefs, and I'm talking about Church of England in this country. But
the great thing about church, when I was around that age, was that you used to be in the congregation, and all the girls would look at the boys that would go up to communion and down again, and all the boys would look at the girls that would go up and down communion, and everybody would be all whatever.
And your best clothes on.
Yes, that's how you met your boyfriend.
You did that coy aiming act, did you, when you were doing
funny,
that?
do you know that picture? Do you know I had that picture of me with my first car, and people say, why are you wearing that suit, that waistcoat and whatever? And I'd just been to Mass, and I'd been back. And that was, so you were on show that day. You were on show.
I was in that show. I saw that picture. It was very nice.
So sorry to interrupt. Just so bring you up to date, what you're seeing on your screens at the moment. This is obviously the Pope's inauguration, and we are seeing world leaders arriving now. On your screen at the moment, you can see US Vice President JD Vance. We're also expecting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, and Prince Edward is representing the government and the royal family there, and that's St Peter's Square for the inaugural Mass of Pope Leo.
Why are we not sending anyone more senior? Or why do we not? Is that a convention that we don't...
Because I suppose we're not a Catholic country.
I know, but it just seems odd that Prince Edward is representing us.
Except he is somebody now, isn't he? He's high up. What is he? The Duke of Edinburgh?
Vance is there, Zelensky's there. Just seems weird.
Yeah.
No Prince William. I mean, can't you go and respect another faith? Charles never stops talking about Muslims.
Well, King Charles, he did meet Pope Francis just before, because they did a tour of Rome, didn't they? Him and Queen Camilla. So he has seen the outgoing pontiff. I'm sure he'll see Pope Leo XIV at another occasion.
Would you like some Pope facts, some fascinating facts?
Yes.
Right? OK, I looked some up. So this is the perks of being the Pope. He's entitled to €2,500 a month. They usually don't take it. they donate it to charity. You get round
Which is not a lot.
It's not.
That's like minimum wage sort of stuff,
and
isn't
there's
it?
no wage, but you are entitled to that. He's a young pope at 69. You get round-the-clock meals, your own private pharmacy, and I'm not making this up, imagine this, personal use of the Pope Mobile at weekends. Now, who in their right...
Tesco's in it, kind of thing.
Can you imagine him going down the supermarket in the Pope Mobile?
It's a bit like estate agents. You know, they get the use of their branded car, and you see these people driving around to Tesco in their Foxtons car at the weekends.
This guy, when I say has a problem with money, he has a problem of keeping money. He is uncomfortable with finance around him, including any average finance of his family, anything that his church had in Chicago, he would sell. He got a lot of stuff during the COVID outbreak and homelessness as well. He got 120 shelters for homeless people.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. The Inauguration...
He's a very charitable man.
Yeah, due to start at 9 o'clock. We will bring you live coverage, but first, let's get a quick look at the weather with Catherine Shaw.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a bit of a slow start out there. We've got quite a lot of low cloud, but once that lifts and breaks, we'll see plenty of warm sunshine. So there's a lot of low cloud across northeastern areas at the moment, across eastern parts of the Midlands and towards the southeast. But once the sun gets going, that will lift and break to reveal plenty of warm sunshine. It may just linger for a time across those North Sea coasts, but elsewhere, fine, dry, plenty of warm sunshine, highs of up to 21, possibly 22 or 23 degrees. But where you've got this onshore flow across northern parts of Scotland and down that east coast, always on the cooler side here. So as we go through Sunday evening, it's going to be a bit of a rinse and repeat. We'll see further spells of low cloud just hugging some eastern coast, but out towards the west of Scotland, plenty of fine, dry weather. But there will be a few showers just developing across the far southwest of Scotland. Elsewhere, largely fine and dry. So as we go through Sunday evening and overnight into Monday, well, the return of low cloud does come in to much of eastern areas of England, always staying with the clearest skies further towards the west, where we may see some mist and fog patches developing. And where we see the clearest skies, that's where temperatures will fall. So we'll see a chilly start to Monday morning, but a cool start further towards the east underneath the blanket of low cloud. Then there's a bit of a change as we go through Monday. That low cloud will gradually lift and break. But actually, as we go through the afternoon, there will be a bit more cloud developing, especially across northern parts of England, and some showers will bubble up. Some of these could be on the heavy side, but the detail exactly where they are is still uncertain at this stage, but it'll still be feeling warm in that sunshine, but cooler across eastern areas in the cloud.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Someone is going to win the biggest prize package to date, and that someone could be you, driving away in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It has plenty of room for your family of four, comes complete with kitchen, bathroom and all the space you'll need for life on the road. Plus, we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This must have been the most difficult time.
Yeah, for him, yeah, obviously.
But I noticed there's no mention of the one that happened to me when I was a Top Gear presenter, when I ended up upside down in a ditch just outside Ormskirk and had to burrow my way out of the wreckage.
Gosh.
It was then taken to hospital, having been scalped with numerous injuries, and was told to keep quiet and not tell anybody about it. And get this, had to ride back from the hospital to my house on a motorcycle. They just keep quiet about it, and they just paid off the guy whose Lotus Classic car was completely written off in the accident.
Gosh.
And the only trace of this incident is on my Wikipedia page, where at the bottom it says, "We loved getting together as presenters so we could have a good laugh about what Steve Berry had crashed that week. Jeremy Clarkson, having a good old laugh at my expense."
Well, Steve, I'm really sorry. I had no idea that had happened to you, and obviously, equally...
Nobody's got any idea what happened to me. They just had a good old laugh about it. I had to burrow my way out to that car like a badger. My hands were cut to shreds, and I had to ride home. Having been scalped, I had to have my scalp stapled back onto my head. They told me to shut up and keep quiet about it. And I got 6 grand. The problem for me is it's just dangerous. Once you start messing about with cars and motorbikes, it's just you're rolling the dice every single time you do it. And every so often, it's going to come up snake eyes. And it did for Freddie, and I feel sorry for the lad. It's terrible what happened to him. But I'll tell you what, that £9 million must...
well, it's a dangerous game, isn't it? Steve Berry, thanks indeed for joining us.
GB News, the People's Channel.
On television, on radio, very good morning to you. This is GB News, and what you're seeing here are live pictures, but historic pictures from the Vatican, as the Pope very shortly will be celebrating his inaugural Mass.
Pope Leo is the 14th to be officiated in a ceremony attended by Vice President J.D. Vance and the Duke of Edinburgh. The Prince Edward will be there. It's heralding a new era in the Catholic Church with the first ever American Pope. And as you can see there, the ceremony is just starting, and it is going to be... he held his first Mass in the Sistine Chapel on 9th of May, but this is the official start of his work as the Pope. It's very, very steeped in history, which is also funny because they're live streaming it on social media. I love that comparison of the very old and the new. It's going to be, there are estimated 250,000 people in St. Peter's Square before the...
But listen inside that basilica there. Listen to that music and that singing resonating the way it does, absolutely fantastically. We'll be joined very shortly by Claire Muldoon, who is a commentator on such Catholic events. And in the studio here, we've got our panel who've been watching all of this all morning. And it's strange, Charlie Riley, isn't it, first of all, that whether you're associated with this or not, whether it's your religion or not, you can sense the occasion, the importance of what we're witnessing.
Oh, I think that's right. And I think that the pictures that we saw earlier on with the Pope touring just outside St. Peter's Square in the Pope-mobile, the hordes of people that have come, that have flocked from thousands of miles to be here as part of the occasion. It's a coming together. It's a bringing together of people, regardless of your where you come from, your background, but you want to take part in something that is joyous. And as you say, listening to that music, it is hopeful, it is uplifting, it is optimistic, a lot more than that Eurovision Song Contest last night, which does also have a way of bringing people together. But when you take music away, when you take football away, when you take politics away, this is something that brings people together. I know it's religion, but the way in which it's all set out and the hope and the joy that it assumes, I think is just something that viewers and listeners will want to take part in and want to know more about.
Pope coming into view. He'll be there very shortly as the whole entourage gathers via the the altar.
A procession of cardinals, which will precede the first. He will receive the first two gifts, which symbolise the papacy: a gold signet fisherman's ring in honour of St. Peter, and the second gift will be a lamb's wool pallium, which symbolises the Pope's role as a shepherd, and it's draped over his shoulders before the Mass begins.
There is Pope Leo, and you're seeing his reign starts here, really, Emma. When you look at the...
Just looking at him thinking what is going through his mind, and I'm thinking as well of King Charles and his coronation, and these men who are in the, second half of their lives, who are taking on these historic roles. And of course with the papacy, there's no guarantee you're going to succeed to that, but what a moment for him as an American, as a man in Rome today, becoming the Pope. I mean, the leader of that millions of people around the world. And as Charlie says, it's such a moment, whether or not you have any religious belief. I feel kind of, you get that sort of hair standing up on the back of your neck just watching it. It's so moving.
I mean, obviously he was born in Chicago, and before he became Pope Leo, his name was Bob Prevost, and he's only 69 years old, which is quite young by Pope standard. But, his brothers have given several interviews about what it was like growing up with the man that became Pope, and it's just such an ordinary American childhood. And it's now, you look at the pomp and ceremony we're witnessing now, as you can see, literally, the robes of the papacy, the bishops around you. It's quite incredible from being a little boy growing up in Chicago to where we are now.
But he really could be the people's Pope, couldn't he? And he could reshape the Catholic Church. And what brilliant timing to have an American Pope when Donald Trump is president. I just think that could be a very, very good marriage.
Alex, it's fascinating what you're saying there, because I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm agreeing with you, but I think that this had all the opportunity to go wrong, that he's from the wrong nation, he represents the wrong views and things, although there's quite a lot of him that's South American, isn't there, as well?
He did a lot of missionary work in South America.
It's unifying,
And if he grew up in Chicago, he was probably quite a tough kid.
Yes.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
But watching these pictures, I don't think it matters what your religion is, and if you haven't got religion, hopefully you've got some kind of faith. Everybody needs faith, but just watching these pictures, how peaceful and calm that music and those pictures are.
It's very stirring, and obviously the scenes of the chapel with the mosaics and with the gold and with the just sheer awe-inspiring majesty of what it is like in the Vatican and Vatican City and the Sistine Chapel.
And already this morning he's blessed a number of children as well. What must that be like to be able to say, that I was blessed by the Pope?
Yeah.
It's wonderful when he was driving around in the Pope-mobile and doing the kissing the babies thing. And you know what it's like when you take your first girlfriend home, even, and your mum and dad get the baby pictures out. Oh, here he is being kissed by the Pope. And it's a bit different to the bath pictures, isn't it?
Yeah.
You do wonder what's going through his mind. What do you... I mean, I'm sure it's very religious what's going through his mind, but when you see those close-ups on his face, you keep wondering, what is that moment like?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's right. The expectation.
Yeah.
I mean, because I think, it's unconfirmed reports, but I think going back to being an American, I think it said that he texted someone to say, I'm American, so it can't be me. So then to emerge from the conclave as the elected Pope by your colleagues, not expecting it, to then have this life being Chicago, being very under the radar, to then have to take on, as you're saying, your second half of your life, the huge responsibility of being the face, the embodiment of the Catholic Church right across the world.
And Charlie, what a picture you've put in my mind. A Pope texting friends, a Pope on WhatsApp. That shows you how far we've all come.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And look, in a modern world, being on X, streaming this, going on social media, it's trying to, I think, already, he's trying to reach out probably to new audiences.
You can follow him on X. I mean, he is actually, I'm following him on X. Crazy.
At Pontifex, if you're interested, that's Pontifex, and communicates in 9 languages to a total of 52 million followers. Wow. I wonder if he responds to DMs. I wonder if he's sliding into his DMs and he'll get back to you.
I think maybe he might have a team handling his post. But also a reminder that one should never give up. I mean, to all of us, you know, look, he's taking on this role at 69.
But Alex's point is a fair one. I mean, as the people's Pope, appealing to a new generation of people, where there's so much conflict and division in the world, where we were talking earlier on about church attendance is going up, particularly by young men. Is this a way in which, you'll see increase in churchgoers right across the world?
I don't know, they were talking about, the confusion in the world about where we are at the moment. In one of Pope Leo's first posts on X, he wrote, "The Holy See is willing to help enemies meet, so they may look each other in the eye, and so people may be given back the dignity they deserve, the dignity of peace. With heart in hand, I say to leaders of nations, let us meet, let us dialogue, let us negotiate." So that is that message, isn't it, Charlie, that yes, there is confusion in the world, there's a lot of hate in the world, but the basic message, whatever your faith, all faiths, is of love and trying to help your fellow man.
I think that's absolutely right. And look, there seems to be a lot of ego in international politics at the minute. And so to have somebody to be able to rise above that, to say, look, whoever you are, whatever country you're in, whatever the conflict, come together, talk about the issue, let's resolve it through diplomacy, through dignity, and through respect for human life. Let's not sort of continue conflicts, wars that don't need to be carrying on. And so he's speaking above and beyond, I think, the political class.
No, up until 1978, this was, as Emma was alluding to, Reed King Charles, this actually was a coronation then, and he would have a crown placed upon his head. That was discontinued and remember this one, John Paul I, when Pope John Paul I came along in 1978, and obviously, unfortunately, died within weeks of taking over the papacy, and things were different. We go to Claire Muldoon, Catholic commentator, regular of this programme, and what an occasion, Claire.
Oh, my goodness me, what a beautiful, remarkable occasion. Some light in this world of doom and gloom, Eamon. You're quite right.
Yeah, and look at those, just those aisles that we're talking about, and everybody, a sea of white all around. What are you expecting today? What are you expecting to see, hear, do? What are you expecting to feel, Claire, as a Roman Catholic?
Well, I think what we're hoping to feel and what we will see is the embodiment of the universal church coming together in its most beautiful form. We've got the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And two very special pieces of symbolism will be given to Pope Leo today, that being his fisherman's ring and indeed the pallium. The fisherman's ring is given in sign of signet, in sign of unity, and is always engraved with the picture and engraving of St. Peter, who, as you know, was the very first pope. Peter meaning rock, and rock, on this rock I will build my church, and on this rock you are Peter, and you will lead my flock, which segues really lovely into the pallium. The pallium is a stole, a scarf, that's made from wool of lambs that were blessed by the Pope. And it signifies beautifully, I think, the Pope's role in shepherding his flock of not only Catholics, but his flock of everyone that comes in to communion with him in the church, and also communion small c in together with him in the church. We expect to see some foreign dignitaries today, and one can remember the beautiful picture, the awe-inspiring picture that might have become a meme in some places, of President Zelensky and President Trump sitting together, moving in St. Peter's Basilica. And we will see lots of foreign dignitaries again today. And I hear that a lot of foreign royals, the Spanish royals and Princess of Monaco, are all wearing white. Of course, white is the papal colour, which signifies new birth, rebirth and purity, which is beautiful.
As you say, Claire, we are expecting many world leaders there today, so hopefully there will be the dialogue that this Pope has encouraged about, ending conflict and finding peace and the ability to love one another. I mean, you are of a very strong faith, Claire. What does it mean personally for you to witness this? How does it make you feel? Does it fill you with hope for the future?
It does, Dawn. It really, really does. And I think, to have that hope, especially in these times, especially within the global conflict that we have at the moment, is to have some form of clarity. I always thought Pope Francis was slightly clumsy in his encyclicals, clumsy in his wording of things. He wasn't too direct, and he wasn't too clear often in his meanings. I think with Pope Leo we will see a difference. He's already in his communications, he's already enlisted not only social media, the use of social media, but also the beauty of the liturgy and the beauty of the scriptures that the Catholic Church hold. And I've said before that, where Pope Francis was Pope of the Heart, JP2, now St. John Paul II, was Pope of the Soul, and Benedict, of course, Pope of the Mind. He was an incredibly intelligent, very good with his words, and in his encyclicals are, doctrinal matter that people will tease out and basically will restore the bones of the church. I think with Pope Leo, he will be the body of the church. I think his writings already and his deliverings are very, very comforting, and he just cuts to the chase and he gets right to it. He's already been saying how the family unit is the most important thing in society, and of course I completely agree. It's the stem of communities. It's the stem of society, and if families were so well woven into the culture, into society, then I think we would have a much, much better, much clearer, much kinder society. It's all very well for these lefties and everyone who wants to say, oh, be kind. Often they're the less kind people ever. And if people can just remember that we are all here in the image of God, in the likeness of God, and practice what they preach, I think we're in for a good papacy.
Wise words, Claire. Pope Leo's first Mass as Pontiff, about to get underway, and we'll be back with full coverage right after this short break.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're
proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
And this Sunday morning, a very good morning to you. Thank you very much indeed for your company. A very, very special morning. What you're seeing there is the inaugural Mass of Pope Leo. This is his first Mass as Pope. And we're there today listening in, watching, observing as to what's going on. We're online, we're on radio, we're on television. And thank you very much indeed for being with us.
Yeah, and as you see, scenes there from St. Peter's Square in Vatican City, where there are an estimated 250,000 faithful gathered to witness this first. It's basically the start of doing the job properly, to put it in ordinary terms. So this is the Mass where he's officially Pope, and it's doing the inauguration of the start of this job. It's an incredible combination.
He takes up residence as Pope today. Because this is after the inaugural Mass today. That's where he will officially move into the papal apartments, which occupy the top floor of the Vatican Palace, which dates back to the 16th century.
It's amazing history, and I'm loving, Eamon, the juxtaposition of the fact that we're watching this amazing ceremony with so much history involved in it, and so much...
in these modern times.
In modern times, and it's being live streamed on his own social media platforms.
Alex, has it got relevance in these modern times?
I think so, Eamon. And in fact, I'm sure, as I said earlier, I think everybody needs faith. And for instance, this is not my religion, but I have the utmost respect for it. And Pope Leo has already said that he will work hard for world peace, and he's already been talking about peace and unity.
Yes.
So, let's put your hope in the Pope.
He'd like that. I think he'd like that because he was brought up in Chicago. Is it called Bob? That's his name. So it really brings... I mean, Charlie is a young man. We've been talking about how more young men are turning to faith now in very troubling terms. We've heard about toxic masculinity and young men in particular, being confused about their role in the world these days. More young men are discovering a faith and attending services. So you're watching this as a young man. I mean, can you understand the fact that he is such a modern Pope with that Chicago background, the first American Pope?
He's showing that there is no distance between him and his congregation. And the fact that he did the Pope Mobile tour, that was his first time in a Pope Mobile, as it turned out. But I think what we saw there, Charlie, is no distance between him and those who are followers.
I think that's absolutely right, and it goes back to what you're talking about, the traditions and the heritage of all of this. If you take away that, then I think you lose your sense of history. You lose that sense of belonging, which people are coming back to.
The Mass is about to begin, and if you're watching, I hope you get your spiritual guidance from it and enjoy what is going to happen. Thank you to our panel gathered here in the studio. And we will have coming next, we have Camilla Tominey and the political programme. But we'll leave you with the Mass recited in Latin.
Il Signore ci rinnovi interiormente per essere sempre fedeli allo Spirito Santo che ci è stato dato in dono. Domine Deus omnipotens precibus populi tui ad esto propitius, et nobis mirabile nostre creationis opus, sed et redemptionis nostre mirabilius memorantibus, aquam benedicere tu dignare. Ipsam enim tu fecisti, ut et arva fecunditate donaret, et levamen corporibus nostris munditiamque preveret. Aquam etiam tue ministra misericordiae condidisti, nam per ipsam solvisti tui populis servitutem, iliusque sitem in deserto sedasti, per ipsam...
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a bit of a slow start out there. We've got quite a lot of low cloud, but once that lifts and breaks, we'll see plenty of warm sunshine. So there's a lot of low cloud across northeastern areas at the moment, across eastern parts of the Midlands and towards the southeast. But once the sun gets going, that will lift and break to reveal plenty of warm sunshine. It may just linger for a time across those North Sea coasts, but elsewhere, fine, dry, plenty of warm sunshine, highs of up to 21, possibly 22 or 23 degrees.